What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for an episode of LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. This is Thursday, May 23rd. Got a lot to talk about. Really, there's one subject that, we'll probably be talking about for a while. Many different things to talk about.
No, there's so much to break down, man.
So much to break down.
I don't think we can actually get to all of it.
I don't think so.
But yeah, there's a lot to get to.
Yeah. Hashtag Trump tantrum, I think it was. I think that was the hashtag that was trending. Trump tantrum. Yeah. So we'll get to all of that. What's up to everybody on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope Live?
Oh, true that, man. True that. Big time.
Oh yeah, big time, man. We need to check out
three platforms.
How Twitch is doing.
Yeah, I know.
Every once in a while, I see somebody
because it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to look at three different streams.
Yeah.
YouTube by far has the most viewers, most chatters. So
no doubt.
Logically, we kind of be focused on that.
True.
That's where most of the audience is.
True.
But yeah,
I do see that we have some views on Twitter and, like I said, on Twitch, but. I wonder what. Yeah, I don't know if there's any conversation going on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, man, we'll try to get through this show without breaking a sweat.
True.
That's going to be hard because I think we both went out on a limb tonight.
Oh yeah,
wearing long sleeve shirts.
Yeah,
so
man.
If y'all see us, a little drippage.
Yeah.
Hey.
See, I need to do a load. I need to do a load of laundry, man. I'm down to.
I know.
The back of the closet.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I realize that the more clothes you have, like, the longer you go without washing. Because you're like, I got stuff to wear.
I got
stuff to wear.
I got about 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I got about 2 more weeks. Yeah. Like, if you just, I wish people would take an inventory of their clothes and just see how much clothes they have. They'd probably be surprised, like, how much clothes they do have.
Yeah.
Like, if they just line everything up.
True.
And I think that's my problem. Like, I need to give some of my clothes away because I don't wash clothes.
True.
Often. Because I know I got stuff to wear.
That I have hanging up that I don't wear.
There's like a lot of like people who I guess are like cleanup or organization gurus.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
That always say, what do they say? Something about if you haven't worn it in like a year or something, like get rid of it.
Well, I don't know.
That's kind of like the rule I've heard about organizing gurus, but I don't know.
There's some pieces I could stand to get rid of, though. I know that much.
Yeah, it's probably just a matter of putting effort into actually doing it. Because I can visualize, like, okay, I don't wear this shit at all.
But I'm getting low on socks and drawers, so gots to do a load.
You know what?
Gots to do
You know what's funny? I think that's the breaking point.
That's the breaking point.
That's the breaking point. Like when you low on socks and drawers, I was like, okay, damn it.
It's over.
It's over then. It's like
damn, I got to do something, man.
That's the foundation.
Run to the store or put the load in.
That's the foundation right there. So true, that's your breaking point. Drawers.
That's some real shit right there, man. All right. So let's get started. YouTube, definitely, if you haven't already done so, please like this stream. We're always reminded by our frequent viewer, Jordan, to remind everybody else to do the same. So please like this, share this if you like to. Like I said, there's one particular subject that I believe we'll be talking about for a good minute, and that is what happened yesterday, the events that occurred yesterday. So I guess we should start at the very beginning.
The Rose Garden affair?
Well, even before that.
Oh, okay.
Even before that with Pelosi. The meeting with House Democrats. That was really, I guess, the beginning. Really, you could go back further than that, but we're going to start there. So on Wednesday morning, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi met with other House Democrats, chairs of different committees. I believe it was a closed door meeting, special meeting. And she came out of that meeting and talked to several reporters, definitely about Trump. So we have a clip of what she had to say.
It was a very positive meeting, a respectful sharing of ideas, and I think a very impressive presentation by our chairs. We do believe that it's important for to follow the facts. We believe that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, and we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up, and that was the nature of the meeting.
All right. So
that was
really wasn't new.
That wasn't anything new. That's kind of like that follows, you know, the subject, the overarching subject matter surrounding the president,
right?
And how his friend and lawyer at the DOJ has been handling.
That's correct.
The Mueller report fallout.
That's right. The summary,
and also disclosing the parts of the report that have been redacted.
Right. McGahn. Withholding McGahn from testimony for the House Judiciary Committee.
Trump administration refusing to comply with subpoenas.
That's correct.
In multiple areas.
Multiple areas. That's right. So even if the words were new, what I'm not sure that they were, like, engaged in a cover-up. I don't know that we have seen those words come from Nancy Pelosi exactly in that manner. But if you just take a look at the situation, it looks like Trump is engaged in a cover-up.
And again, this is not sentiment that is new. Like you said, maybe it hasn't come directly from Pelosi per se.
Right.
But a lot of people have been talking about it. It's been a conversation, so it's not a new conversation.
Not a new conversation. So, again, this was in the morning. This was on Wednesday morning. So right after this meeting, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer were due to appear at the White House for a scheduled meeting with President Trump in the cabinet room, I believe. And this was a meeting that was supposed to revolve around infrastructure, a supposed $2 trillion infrastructure deal, to tackle roads, bridges, airports, just significant problems within our country to, build them back up, So, President Trump, well, the meeting did not go as planned. President Trump did not even sit down for the meeting. I guess he came into the room and shut down the idea of the meeting. And, we can just, rather than explain why he shut it down, he can tell you in his own words. And he did as much a little while later. It was sort of an impromptu news conference. I don't believe it was impromptu, but, we'll get into that. But anyway, he called the media there to the Rose Garden. And there was this news conference that lasted about 40 minutes, something like that. And he went into why the meeting did not take place, his reasons for cutting short the meeting, and just his overall problems and this and that. So we're going to let Trump speak for himself.
So I came here to do a meeting on infrastructure with Democrats, not really thinking they wanted to do infrastructure or anything else other than investigate. And I just saw that Nancy Pelosi, just before our meeting, made a statement that we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. Well, it turns out I'm the most, and I think most of you would agree to this, I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country. We have given on a witch hunt, on a hoax. The whole thing with Russia was a hoax as it relates to the Trump administration and myself. It was a total horrible thing that happened to our country. It hurt us in so many ways. Despite that, we're setting records with the economy, with jobs. We have the most people employed today that we've ever had in the history of our country. We have the best unemployment numbers that we've had in the history of our country. In some cases, 51 years, but generally in the history of our country. Companies are moving back in. Things are going well. And I said, let's have the meeting on infrastructure. We'll get that done easily. That's one of the easy ones. And instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups. You people know that probably better than anybody. So here's the bottom line. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. We've been doing this since I've been president, and actually, the crime was committed on the other side. We'll see how that all turns out. I hope it turns out well, but to my way of thinking, and I know a lot of you agree with me, the crime was committed on the other side. This whole thing was a takedown attempt at the President of the United States. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves for the way you report it so dishonestly. Not all of you, but many of you. The way you report it. So I've said from the beginning, right from the beginning, that you probably can't go down two tracks. You can go down the investigation track, and you can go down the investment track, or the track of let's get things done for the American people. I love the American people. I just wanted to let you know that I walked into the room and I told Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, I want to do infrastructure. I want to do it more than you want to do it. I'd be really good at that. That's what I do. But you know what? You can't do it under these circumstances. So get these phony investigations over with. If someday a Democrat becomes president and you have a Republican House, they can impeach him for any reason, or her. Any reason. We can't allow that to happen.
Boy, oh boy. I'm just taking some notes here.
Man, I don't know where to start.
It's so much.
There's so much.
Where would you like to start?
Well, let's not start with maybe his many contradictions. Mm-hmm. Let's start with I guess how they responded to this impromptu meeting or presser that the Democrats had. Yeah. Now their response was, or Trump's response was, that he decided, and the White House decided to respond in this way and just cancel the meeting on a whim.
On a whim.
Right? And this response was impromptu.
Yes.
Now, I don't believe for a second that was true.
Why not?
Because it's not shown. It wasn't shown in that video footage. Mm-hmm. But if you looked at the sign that they had underneath this podium, does that look like a sign that was just made on a whim? In a response to whatever Pelosi said in that presser, does that look like a sign that was just made on a snap and they brought it
within minutes?
Within minutes.
No, it doesn't. That's why that's why I had to put the air quotes on impromptu, Rose Garden news conference, because I think this was planned all along. I think this was the idea that he wasn't going to go through with this meeting on infrastructure, and he was going to come before the media and say, this is why I can't. Regardless of if Nancy Pelosi had said something about being in a cover-up or not, there still would have been investigations going on, and that's what his issue is.
That's essentially what their plan is, because they are desperate right now.
Yeah.
They are desperate to kind of put a halt and a stop to any inquiries that are being, initiated by the Democrats. So they're scared right now. So they have to kind of gaslight the situation and make it look like, hey, we're just trying to run the country.
Yeah.
And then we can't do that. I mean, if all these investigations are on, we can't even run the country. Not only can we not run the country, you know, they can't even present bills to us,
right?
Because they're too busy investigating.
Right.
And I'm just like, number one, let's deal with one of the first points he made. Something you kind of initially pointed out when the video was playing, when they couldn't see us.
Right.
What did you notice immediately? What contradiction did you notice immediately?
Yeah, because that goes into what you're talking about not being able to run the country, Democrats not being able to, I guess, enact any legislation, you know, pass any bills or anything like that. He said that
it's harming the country. This investigation
is hurting the country.
It harmed the country.
Yeah, and in the shadow of this investigation, it's hurt the country.
It's hurt the country. It's hurt the American people. It's been bad for the country. And I'm like, okay, I would like him to kind of go into why that is true.
Oh, he doesn't go into why it's true. Instead, he says, despite all of that negativity, despite this investigation lasting for over 2 years, despite all of that, country's doing great.
What else? The economy is good.
Economy's good. And unemployment.
Yeah,
it's good.
There's more people employed today, at this point in time, than ever before in American history. I'm like,
you know what else is true?
There are more people. That's what's true.
There are more people. Than at any other point in the United States history.
But let's give him that. Let's just say. Let's just say.
You want to give him that small win?
Actually, let's give him everything.
Okay.
Let's just say all that's true, because this is his point. Okay. This is his point.
Yes, this is his.
But all those goodies that he gave us about why the country is doing so good and why he is so successful and why we should be pleased with him actually undercuts the first point he made.
Yeah.
Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't that undercut the first point he made?
Yes, because again, if this is a stain on the country, if this is a shadow that we have been living in and we can't do anything because of it, then how could the country be performing so well? And his quote, "things going well." So how could that be true?
So how could it have hurt the country, hurt the American people?
It might have hurt your pride. It might have hurt your ego. It might have hurt your chances of re-election. I mean, it could have hurt you in a lot of different ways, but the country,
yeah,
I fail to see how it hurt the country. He also said, and he's repeated this line many times, most transparent in the history of the country. And he, as some offer of proof, he actually left that on the reporters. Hey, you guys know this. You guys would say the same thing. You know that I'm the most transparent in the history of the country.
Most transparent.
This is a guy that the norm is that the presidential nominee releases their taxes. That has been an established practice for decades. He hasn't. Just that one simple fact alone removes this from consideration.
Maybe he's right. Maybe what he means by transparent is not the same thing that we're assuming he means.
What could he mean?
He's transparent, all right. He displays his guilt so frequently.
Oh yeah.
He tells on himself so frequently.
He does.
That you could in some way call him transparent.
Oh.
But you in some way call him transparent.
So it wouldn't be about him like telling us what we need to know, him giving us the information we need to know. By him withholding it, he's transparent.
Yeah, indirectly he's showing us who he is without knowing. So technically he is transparent. Maybe just not in the way he thinks he's saying.
Right.
Because what he also said, like, I'm not involved in cover-ups. What did he say?
I don't do cover-ups.
I don't do cover-ups. I don't do cover. I'm like, wait a second.
I don't do cover-ups.
I'm like, wait a second.
Oh man.
Where's Michael Cohen right now?
He's in jail.
Like yeah. I'm about to say like what's his new residence?
Permanent.
Where does he? Yeah, where is he?
Temporary.
Yeah, temporary.
It's a long stay.
Yes. Where he's taking a temporary vacation right now. Right. So what is he in jail for? He's in jail for a host of things, but
it's all tied to a particular person.
A particular person.
Right.
That he used a particular person.
Yes.
That I would say a particular person like what? Stormy Daniels? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you were going?
No, who was that?
Were you going to Stormy Daniels? Is that where you were going?
No. I said no. Michael Cohen is in jail because of a particular person.
Oh, he's in jail because of a particular person.
Yes. Because he was working for somebody.
See, that's why I got confused because I was like, you couldn't be talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Oh, so you're talking about Donald Trump using Michael Cohen.
Yes.
As a fixer.
Yes.
To cover up payments he made to a porn star.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, of course. I mean, that's not the only reason Michael Cohen is sitting in prison right now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he was the fixer of President Trump. He was doing Trump's dirty deeds.
So he was covering up.
He was, yes. I don't do cover-ups though.
Covering up Trump's dirty deeds.
I don't do. He looks like a man with like severely hurt feelings. I don't do cover-ups. You know, he said you can't go down two tracks. He was telling Senator Schumer, Representative Speaker of the House, Pelosi, that pretty much you can't have these conversations. You can't have these negotiations when he's being investigated. Well, he's being investigated. And he said you have to end the phony investigations. Look, the job of Congress, I mean, they have a lot of jobs, right? They do have to, pass legislation. They have to debate ideas. I mean, they have a lot of jobs. But one of those jobs is oversight as well. They have a lot of power. And they can investigate. I mean, they have a lot of committees as well. They can investigate where they see fit. The Democrats have control of the House right now, so it's on them to do the investigations. They think it's appropriate to investigate the President of the United States, particularly his personal finances.
His personal finances and his taxes.
Yes.
And but see, the thing is, he mentioned the Mueller investigation. Mm-hmm. That, I guess, that witch hunt. He mentioned that.
He did.
So if we want to honestly talk about that, we kind of have to dispel this myth about Democrats investigating him. There wasn't a Democrat in Congress that played a part in that. They weren't the ones actually waking up every morning taking orders from Mueller. They were not involved. The Democrats in Congress were not involved in the Mueller investigation. Mueller had a team of his own doing that. So this idea that the Democrats spent every waking hour involved in an investigation into Donald Trump is actually not true, and it doesn't make any sense. They weren't doing that. No. They weren't in charge of that. They had nothing to do with that. That's why I don't like people talking about how they spent 2.5 years on the investigation and they could have been galvanizing voters and doing this and talking they hadn't. No, they hadn't. They had no power. They had no power. Not only
did
they have no power to do such a thing, that's not what they were tasked to do. They had no authority to do it, and they weren't doing it. No. So I don't know where kind of that myth comes in. And if we're talking about subpoenaing financial records from financial firms or the IRS, most likely the Democrats have aides to draw up subpoenas. It's not even them drawing up the subpoenas. They have aides who turn that stuff in, who file that paperwork. And that's not really an investigation itself. That's just requesting information so there can be an investigation.
Right. That's why, of course I don't like his talking points here because you can go down two tracks: investigation or investment. And he wants to go down the investment path. You know, this is what he does. Infrastructure. He can cut deals. In a few minutes, he was talking about the border crisis as well. We can do that in 15 minutes. Just all of this nonsense that he was speaking. But you can do more than one thing at a time. The Democratic Party, the Democratic leaders, they are showing that they don't have to be focused on just one particular thing, like the investigation. They showed up at the White House to actually talk about infrastructure. It has nothing to do with the Mueller report. That has nothing to do with President Trump's finances. That has to do with the country. That has to do with the infrastructure of this country. So they have shown that they can, I guess, separate different things out. I can focus over here for right now. I can focus over here for right now. They have the ability to multitask. This guy doesn't seem like he does. And then the whole thing about like what you were going into, later on towards the end, and I believe you heard that towards the end of the clip, he's talking about we have to make sure that, especially even if a Democratic president gets in office, you just can't impeach for any reason. Again, these investigations are appropriate for Congress.
And what are they a result of? If you're talking about the look into his finances and his taxes, that's a direct result of Michael Cohen's testimony. They didn't just come out of nowhere.
And it's a result of his cover-up, his actions that look like he's covering stuff up, his actions of withholding his tax returns, stuff like that. But look, this investigation, the Mueller investigation, lasted approximately 2 years. Okay, I can go back to the 90s. The Whitewater investigation lasted a lot longer than 2 years.
And not only did it last longer,
yes,
it was involving activity from 15 years prior to Clinton taking office.
That's true. Now, it lasted longer, had to do with a previous time, like over a decade before that. Also, he seems to be just so bent out of shape that he is being investigated, and that it is, and on one hand, it's a stain on the country. We can't move forward, but we're making progress. So, like I said, that's conflicting. But I don't remember hearing like Clinton or anybody in the Democratic Party saying like, hey, we got to stop this investigation because we can't make progress as a country. I don't remember hearing that. Trump is framing this as like the Democrats held power and they like shaped the court. It was the Republican Party. It was Republican members that appointed Mueller. Back then in the 90s, Ken Starr, he wasn't even appointed by the Democrats. He was appointed by like a 3-judge panel. So I'm saying like the Democratic Party, Clinton would have had more room to be like, hey, this is a partisan tactic. They're really out to get me. We can't move forward as a country. He would have more reason to say stuff like that. Trump, by pinning this on the Democrats and saying things like the crime was committed on the other side, even the White House, the official White House Twitter account, said the same thing. The crime was committed on the other side. How was the crime committed on the other side when we speak over and over again about how the Democrats held no power to appoint Mueller to do anything with the investigation?
Who had control of the House the first 2 years of Trump's presidency?
It was the Republican Party.
So they had control of the House and the Senate, right?
Yes.
They had control of the House and the Senate, right? Okay. And let's look at, quickly go over some other facts too. Some small points, very, very small points. Because the narrative that Trump is trying to paint, and it's easy for him to paint this narrative because he's playing into party politics, and it makes him look like he's being unfairly attacked. Because if you can position yourself like you're being attacked by the opposition party, it does kind of taint an investigation. It does look. It can at least. They can claim it. They can claim it, even if it's not true. Right. But Robert Mueller, what is he?
Republican.
Lifelong Republican.
Right.
What about the deputy AG?
Deputy AG, talking about Rod
Rosenstein. What is he?
Republican.
So he's
appointed
Republican,
by Trump.
and he's appointed by Trump.
That's right.
And people don't know Rod Rosenstein. He actually worked for President Bush as well. Rod Rosenstein also was served as co-counsel with someone you just mentioned, Kenneth Starr.
That's right.
And the impeachment of one William Clinton.
That's right.
So you can't like mistake him for some sort of angry Democrat. Also, the head of the FBI, someone who Trump appointed, who oversaw some of this and most of the investigation, Christopher Wray. What is he?
Republican.
Okay. Going down the line. Another one, at the time, he is now Secretary of State, but Trump appointed him as the CIA director. And that was Mike Pompeo.
Right.
What is he?
Republican.
Okay, he's a Republican. Okay, let's go to even one of the most controversial issues that people like to point out. The FISA warrant. The judges who approved the FISA warrants.
Are you asking me what they are as well?
And who renewed the FISA warrants too? What were they?
I believe they were Republican.
They were Republican too. So at like every step that we look at, or every level that we look at, the people who are in control of the investigation were not Democrats. So, I know that is like a narrative that people want to believe into,
and they are pushing it extremely
because it does make
fervently.
it would make it more dramatic. It does make it more dramatic,
but it doesn't explain the comment that you just saw from Donald Trump and the White House Twitter account. The crime committed on the other side. The crime was committed on the what power did they even have to commit a like you can talk all day and disparage Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. You can talk about Fusion GPS. You can talk about all this. You can talk about the dossier. You can talk about all of this. But who put the investigation in motion? Who put the investigation in motion? It was the Republican Party. It was multiple members of the Republican Party. This is nonsense.
And to me, it's like how weak do you look to kind of present this case that, well, I'm not gonna like put forth effort, as a president because this party is being mean to me.
It looks incredibly weak.
Not only does it look weak
and childish.
Weak.
You're gonna take your ball and go home.
You're gonna take your ball and go home. And the thing about it is like, people that live in paper houses shouldn't start fires.
No.
Because if you're going to take a moral high ground, about something, then you better make sure that you're not guilty of the same thing or worse. You know what I'm saying? Because the Democrats could turn it around, right around on him if they really wanted it to.
They could.
I mean, what was one of this dude's campaign mantras? It was lock her up.
That's right.
That was one of his campaign mantras. So if we're going to talk about being antagonistic and that leading to, a party not working with the other party, I don't think Trump has any ground to talk. What about Elizabeth Warren? I mean, obviously we had some stuff to say about it too, but Pocahontas Gate, or what you call it, Heritage Gate, still antagonizes her about that. Never once have I heard her say, well, I'm not going to do my job because Trump is antagonizing me. What about Trump threatening to reopen the investigation on Hillary's emails? Or what about his own lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, trying to explore the investigation into Joe Biden's son?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, what about Ilhan Omar in that, I guess, anti-Semitic theater production they put on? And they had Ilhan Omar as the star of that. They took some of her comments about AIPAC, transformed them into something anti-Semitic, and extrapolated that contrived outrage onto the entire Democratic Party for an entire month, even going as far as saying she should be removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee, and even going further and saying she should be removed from Congress.
Look,
and Donald Trump was the ringleader of that as well. So he doesn't have any grounds to say that like he's been treated unfairly, so he's not going to work with the other side, when essentially he has been the most antagonistic president like I have seen in my lifetime.
as a public servant, though, because these are supposed to be public servants, these are individuals that were elected to their positions by the people. You can't take your ball and go home because you were elected to do a job. So there might be bitter feelings between different individuals across the aisle, within the same aisle, you know, on the same side aisle, whatever. Could be bitter feelings. But you don't get to not negotiate because this isn't a personal matter. Okay, because they can say mean things about you all they want. Something that you interpret as mean, as cruel, whatever. It may result in a case where you never have a good relationship with this person. But that's not why you're there in office. That's not why people casted a ballot for you. You're there to do a job for the people of the United States of America. So your job was to actually sit in that meeting as the president and work with somebody like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer on infrastructure. That's what your job was. You don't have the right to go home. You have no right to get out of that meeting, go to the Rose Garden, and perform your tantrum. You have no right to sit up there in front of the media and say, well, you know what? I can't believe they said that this was a cover-up. I'm not talking to them. It's amazing. The White House press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, on the same night that this happened, Wednesday night, she spoke with reporters and made some baffling comments.
Infrastructure has to be defined. We need to know what their priorities are and what they want to see done. Whether it's going to really be about rebuilding our crumbling roads and bridges, whether it's about expanding broadband, or whether it's some of these crazy Green New Deal proposals.
We need to know what their plan is. They came to a meeting at the White House with a plan. They wanted to communicate that plan.
40-page plan.
That's right. They wanted to communicate their plan to you, to see if there was some room to negotiate, to see if there was an agreement that could be put on the table, that could be actually brought to Congress. It could be voted on, passed, signed by the president. That's why they came to the White House. But you're saying that, what? We need to see the... You had an opportunity to see their plan, and you said meeting over because they say mean things about me. Nancy Pelosi, earlier today on Thursday, at her press conference, she went into, I guess, what happened at that meeting and why she thinks it was actually canceled.
I think what happened, he says it's because of cover-up, and I know that strikes a chord with him, and he's afraid of cover-up, but afraid of being accused of cover-up. But I really think that what he knew, the one court decision was getting into territory that he did not want touched, and they did not allow the Mueller investigation to go into the president's personal finances. So Mazur was a setback for him, and then he must have known the Deutsche Bank decision would be consistent, but in any event, to inoculate against its presentation, he pulled a stunt. Now, I truly believe that the president has a bag of tricks, and the White House has a bag of tricks that they save for certain occasions. They don't necessarily apply to the occasion, but they're a distraction, which is his master of distraction. We will all agree on that. That's something he does well, to distract from problems that he has. He tries to change the subject. And while he tried to say it's because I said cover-up, we've been saying cover-up for a while. And our 9 o'clock meeting was a meeting we have anyway, so it had nothing to do with him. But I think what really got to him was these court cases and the fact that the House Democratic Caucus is not on a path to impeachment. And that's where he wants us to be. And when he saw that that was not happening, that, again, with the cover-up, which he understands is true, just struck a chord. Again, I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country.
Wow. Wow. Just some.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yo,
we'll
that's some serious shade.
Oh, that's
man.
mad shade. That's mad shade. Just some explanation of what she was talking about, though. We talked about the whole Mazars decision, where the federal judge in Washington, D.C. Ruled that Mazars must turn over the financial records of Donald Trump. We talked about that on Tuesday. Also, Wells Fargo and TD Bank, they've turned over the financial records of President Donald Trump to the House Financial Services Committee. And also yesterday, Deutsche Bank and Capital One, a federal judge in New York, ruled that they were required to comply with congressional subpoenas that were seeking to access Trump's financial records. So that's what Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was talking about. And she took it in a direction that, it's interesting. She believes that he wants the Democratic Party to go ahead with impeachment right now. I guess she believes he thinks that would help him.
And honestly, he might be right. And I think that Nancy Pelosi suspects that that's what he wants.
Right.
She's been criticized, of course,
for
not being strong enough in all this and not moving forward with impeachment. A lot of people have called her weak. Now we call her weak time and time again, but for other reasons.
Right.
But in this case, I have to go against a lot of chatter I've been hearing on social media in my own circles, about going forth with impeachment, and I guess those that are in the upper levels of Congress, and even those who are in lower levels, not even in major leadership positions, they know what's going on in New York right now. They know there's been cases that have been transferred that are ongoing right now. One of those cases actually just kind of came to a head today. I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, she knows there's a lot of current investigations going on that can actually offer more weight.
Right.
And that actually have a lot of weight to them and have a lot of, added value to the case against Donald Trump. So I think she's just trying to wait it out.
Yeah. I can understand. Look, I'm not, really pushing for the impeachment. I think if they wanted to do that, it wouldn't be something I'm like, it's too early. I think there is enough on the table. It's like a lot of people say it's in plain view what was evidenced by the Mueller report, a lot of instances of obstruction of justice. So I think there's enough on the table. She thinks it would be prudent to wait. And I don't fault her for it. So, I think a lot more will be revealed, especially if you get into his financial records, if you get into his tax returns, a lot more will be revealed. And we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think Donald Trump and his administration, including his press secretary, are being purposely dishonest about not just the Mueller report, but what is supposed to follow it. Because they've been kind of pushing this, trying to get a second chance narrative, when that's not the case.
Right.
Like Mueller's job is to, was to put together a report.
Right. And they keep talking about specifically no collusion as well. Do you hear anybody, especially from the Democratic Party, actually anybody in the media as well, do you hear anybody talking about the whole Russia angle?
Not anymore.
You hear them talking about obstruction of justice.
You talk about obstruction of
but
justice.
You don't hear them talking about like Russia. Yeah, you know what? We still think we still think there's something to this Russia thing. We need a second bite at the apple.
Nah.
You don't.
That's not what it is. It's supposed to. The report was supposed to lay a groundwork for Congress to do its job.
That's correct.
Mueller's job was to write a report, and if you actually read the report, it said as such. It's supposed to provide the groundwork for Congress to take over.
Right.
And he specifically said that it wasn't his job to indict. It was Congress's job to go forth and review the report and decide for themselves. So actually Congress is doing their job. So this whole, they want a do-over, they want a second chance, that's actually not true. And they understand that. And based on not just the Mueller report, but some of the side investigations that were occurring, the Democrats essentially have legal grounds to request financial records.
They do.
And that's exactly what he doesn't want them to go into, as Pelosi outlined. And it makes sense. And it makes sense.
That last comment that you made, though, like you said, the shade, that was funny. Because this is Trump being very sensitive, very childish, and throwing a tantrum. And she says that she wishes that his family, I guess his advisors,
I'm gonna pray for him.
Stage an intervention for the buddy, man. Just help him out, man.
Yo, that's like
Take
saying,
care of him.
yo, I mean, that's like saying, like, yo, y'all might want to like unplug him and plug him back in again and see if he works.
Need a massive reset.
Maybe you should like press F8 like when he's waking up, so maybe he'll start off in like safe mode.
That's messed up.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I think it's like this whole idea that the Democrats like can't do their jobs at the same time as these investigations are going on is actually doesn't meet the standards of what is reality.
No.
And the reality is the Democrats have actually pushed 100 bills already.
That's right.
But guess who's stalling those?
That's right. Yeah,
Mitch McConnell is stalling those bills in the Senate.
That's correct. I'm glad you went there. I believe that's contained in part of this clip. So White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I actually said it right.
You didn't say Suckabee?
I didn't say Suckabee, yeah. Anyway, she had an interview with CNN's Allison Camerota about this whole mess. So we have a clip of that.
You can't literally have a meeting like Nancy Pelosi did yesterday, just an hour before she got to the White House, where she accused the president of a crime, said he had engaged in a cover-up, and then show up and pretend like nothing's happened and let's just sit down and talk about roads and bridges. It just doesn't work that way. She knows that. Nancy Pelosi's problem is that she's totally lost control of her party. Well, she's got the far left wing telling her what to do, maybe some of the moderates that actually want to get something done, and she's lost control. And at some point, she has to make a decision of which direction she's going to take.
I mean, just to be clear, Congress says they actually can do two things at once. Congress says that this isn't a problem. I mean, the Democrats in Congress say this isn't a problem. So is the president saying that he cannot do infrastructure while he's being investigated?
I think it's a complete lie that Democrats in Congress think they can do two things at once. So far, we haven't seen them do anything. Nancy Pelosi has had the majority in the House for months and has yet to accomplish a single thing. Well, they literally haven't gotten anything done since she's taken over.
But hold on a second. From January 3rd to present, which is not that long, the House has passed 248 bills. The Senate has passed 161, a total of 379. That's not nothing.
Yeah, it's not. Tell me what significant pieces of legislation that they have passed that are going to change the course of the country. Look, there are a lot of big problems that our country is facing. The president is willing to take administrative action to fix some of those if Congress is unwilling to do their part. They know that we have a national security and humanitarian crisis on the border. At least they're finally admitting that, yet they still haven't done anything to help address it. They know that we have a major humanitarian crisis there. I mean, the administration requested money just 2 weeks ago, and they've yet to even respond to help provide additional funding.
Sarah, hold on. Let me just get a couple things in there. As you know, they're interested in a deal for dreamers. I mean, that's one of the things that they are interested in talking to the president about. At one time, he was interested in that as well. So they want something comprehensive. But just before we get to that for 1 second,
I just
want to hold on. I don't want to get derailed to that. I just want to say it's the president who's saying that he can't do infrastructure while he's being investigated. He is the one who walked out of the meeting. So just so that we're clear, he's saying that bridges are not going to be fixed until he's no longer investigated. Is that what we hear from the White House?
So far, what we've seen from the Democrats in Congress, Allison, is that they are incapable of doing anything other than investigating this president. They spend all of their time attacking him, and the fact that they would have a meeting an hour before they are set to arrive at the White House where Nancy Pelosi literally accuses the president of a crime and then wants to walk into his office and sit down as if nothing happened, that's lunacy. That's not even in the realm of possibilities.
I understand where Trump is coming from. I've been there before, you know. People on the internet talking trash to me.
Yep. Calling you outside your name.
Calling me outside of my name, accusing me of all these things. So I'm like, yo, man, I had to call my job and be like, man, I don't think I can come in today. I don't think I can come in today, man. These people have been like talking
until they stop talking bad about me on these nets. I'm not showing
on
up.
these internets, man. I'm not showing up for work. And even I heard some people at the job was talking bad about me.
Yep.
Some people at the job was talking bad about me. So guess what?
It's preventing my ability to
do my job. Actually, you know what's funny about that? I've actually been a manager. I've actually been a GM. I've actually been the head person at a business.
Right.
And there was a lot of shit that always comes my way. There's always chatter going on. There's always talks about how I wasn't or was doing my job. There's always somebody who had something to say.
But you still had to.
I still had to do my
job. You couldn't not open up the facility, right? You couldn't not open up the facility, right? You had to open up the location, right?
I still had certain things I had to do from day to day. I still had like someone I was serving.
Right.
I still had duties as a manager, as a GM. I still had to do things
from
day to day.
As the GM of the country.
As the GM of the country, like it doesn't matter what like somebody's saying about you, you still have a job to do. It just doesn't make sense. It just seems it just seems so doggone petty. Because they're trying to play this, you know, they better play nice to us,
right?
Or we're not going to work with them kind of game. When that's not a card that they played.
No,
they have not played this civility. No. We'll treat you nice.
Hell no.
They haven't played that throughout Trump's entire tenure. So I don't understand how that's even a thing. Like that's just lunacy. They talk bad about us and they expect us to work with them. I'm like,
she said literally, I guess minutes before they came to the White House, she was over there saying that President Trump committed a crime. Who cares? It doesn't stop you from doing your job. If you paid attention there was one question that actually Allison Camerota, she asked it twice, but in different ways. But really, she said, so you, she said, well, so you can't, I guess, negotiate with the Democrats until they stop the investigations? Is that what you're saying? No answer from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She later said, so bridges won't be fixed until these investigations stop. No answer from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Again, the Democrats are showing that they can focus on multiple things. But President Trump is the one that ended that meeting prematurely. It's about President Trump. It's clear to see that he's the one that is stalling negotiations on infrastructure or anything else. It would seem that no business can be done until he gets his way, until these people stop saying mean things about him.
Let's just list off a few of these. Raise the Wage Act. I mean, I think that would kind of change the direction of a country a little bit.
That would improve many lives.
Prescription Drug Star Act.
Oh, okay.
You like that one? Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Consumers First Act, which is a consumer protection bill.
Okay.
State Healthcare Premium Reduction Act. Rebuild America's Schools Act. Let's see. Climate Change Action Now Act. Let's say Paycheck Fairness Act. The Equality Act. I could keep going. Supplemental Appropriations Act, which has to do with disaster assistance. Yemen War Powers Resolution Act.
Which was vetoed by the president.
Vetoed by the president.
That's right.
So, yeah.
You didn't even mention H.R. 1. The first one, you remember that was about gerrymandering. It was about voting. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about For the People Act.
Yeah, For the People Act.
Word.
Yeah.
Nah, none of that stuff is going to change the course of America at all.
No.
The country. No.
Nope. None of that.
But no, see, like what Sarah Huckabee Sanders is she wants Democrats to work with them on, torturing immigrants. Taking away health care. And giving massive tax breaks to corporations.
Yes.
That's
deregulation.
Deregulation. That's what they want help on.
Right. And if you're not helping in those areas, then we don't really have anything to talk about.
Nope.
All right. So it wasn't only Sarah Huckabee Sanders that came to the defense of President Trump. Also, there's a Fox News host, a guy by the name of Tucker Carlson, who went in a very strange direction. Very strange direction. So he had an interview. Well, he had somebody on with him, and that was Joe Concha, who is with The Hill. So I'll just let them take it away.
Joe, is it my imagination, or did once again the Speaker of the House deliver the talking point that everyone in cable news eagerly took up and repeated?
I think you're seeing a pattern here, Tucker. I remember back in January, the term manufactured crisis was used to talk about what was going on at the U.S. southern border. And then you heard over and over, dozens upon dozens of times, and not just from one network, but different networks, different anchors or pundits or guests using that same exact term to the word manufactured crisis. Now, sure enough, as we know, and even the New York Times admits, it's no longer a manufactured crisis at the border. That's a real thing. Story for another time. And then we had the other crisis, which was the constitutional crisis. And that was 2 weeks ago when Bill Barr, after he testified in front of the Senate, decided not to do so with the House when they changed the rules around as far as staffers being able to question him, which had never happened in Congress before. And he said, this is going to be a circus. No, thanks. I'm not going to show up. So that became a constitutional crisis. And Pelosi says that as well. And sure enough, the Media Research Center, and I get they're conservative, but the numbers here are usually accurate. They found that between May 8th and May 12th, that on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and MSNBC, that exact term, constitutional crisis, was uttered 386 times. I'm not very good at math, but I'm pretty sure that's more than 70 times if you average it out per network. So yeah, it goes out one mouth, it comes out another mouth, and now here we are with cover-up, and that will be the next new constitutional crisis as far as terms that we hear over and over again, as if it's an echo chamber.
We're entering campaign season. There's a presidential campaign in progress already. At some point, these are campaign finance violations. These are television networks donating to presidential campaigns to a party and not declaring it.
That would be very interesting to see that case be made, perhaps, but...
You know what's so funny about that last part? Even your boy was like,
Can't believe you said this on air.
Yeah, I know. It's like, why you do that to my segment, dog? That's what I interpreted his reaction to be. He's like, damn, dog.
Okay.
We was almost done with that. We was almost done with the segment, and you had to throw that in there, and I had to play it off like, yeah,
it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see about that. So what Tucker is mad about is what? Like, the media reports on things, and they quote the words that people use.
That's right.
That's basically what he's mad at. This word was used 300 times. I'm like, that's what people do when they report on something and quote people.
Yeah. If these elected officials speak on something, they usually take up the language of them speaking. Whatever they say it is, that's what they say it is.
And let's just like...
It's as simple as that.
It's simple as that. But let's even play with it and go as far as to say, like, there's certain media outlets that display their bias, which they do. It doesn't matter what media outlet it is. It could be CNN, MSNBC, it could be Fox, whatever the media outlet is or media platform, whether it's mainstream or alternative, media, there's going to be bias. Let's just, like, take his argument at face value and just say, okay, there is bias. But can you legitimately make the claim that it's campaign finance violation? Can you legitimately make that claim? No.
How? How could you?
Because he's using the word contribution very loosely. Like they're contributing support.
So if you are clearly in support of a certain politician or a certain political party, it's a campaign finance.
No. He didn't even say that. He didn't even say that. I'm just taking it further to say it for him to make a better argument, which I still can't make.
He did kind of say that, though.
Well,
because he's saying because of their language, because of these.
But he didn't say anything about bias. He just said
that's right. He didn't say bias.
He's just saying like
repeating words.
Exactly, repeating the words of politicians.
Oh, so now it's kind of like they have a copyright on the words.
They have a copyright on the words.
And if you use it,
you got to pay.
Or it is like a pay.
Or just using the same words indicates that there's a bias, which is not always true. Like, we can acknowledge that there's bias in the media. Mm-hmm. That can be true, while at the same time, the media is just quoting words someone used. You can do both those two things exist at the same time.
This is an interesting talking point for Tucker Carlson. For anybody, really. It's a very interesting talking point. I remember some time ago, conservatives being enraged and them all talking about dead baby parts being sold. Remember? Aborted baby parts being sold by Planned Parenthood? I remember that. I remember just weeks ago we started hearing about this whole infanticide thing by conservatives, even though that's bullshit. It was something that they all repeated.
Oh, so like networks like Fox were repeating talking points that were issued by representatives.
That's correct.
I can even go further because this goes way back. What about, let's say, death panels?
Oh my gosh. Whew. I remember death panels.
Remember death panels?
How about open border Democrats?
Open border Democrats.
Even though that's bullshit too. But they're all repeating the same thing. So I guess they have been doing the bidding for Republicans and conservatives for a mighty long time. And man, they've been making illegal campaign.
And you know what's so funny about it? Like, I personally don't care.
No, I don't care about that. That's stupid.
Seriously, I personally
ridiculous.
don't care. Like, I recognize that being a reality. I recognize that there are certain media outlets that act as like an arm of a political party. You already know that. It's whack. But am I going to sit up here and act as if there's some sort of, FEC violation?
Oh no!
Like, come on now.
But it's interesting coming from this network.
Why is that interesting?
Because
that this network, somebody on this network, Tucker Carlson is making that point.
Because there was one egregious act.
Okay.
And this was a few weeks ago. There was a Trump rally. I can't remember exactly where it was. But it was a Trump rally. Trump was there himself, of course. And there were 2 Fox commentators, well, not, more than commentators, they're hosts, that actually appeared on stage at the rally. Not just reporting on it from the media section. No. They were actually on stage at the rally. So being supportive of President Trump openly on stage. And that was Sean Hannity and Jeanine Pirro. Both of them appeared on stage. Now, Fox came out with a statement afterwards saying that that was not the right thing to do. They don't want that occurring at all. They try to distance themselves from that type of activity.
So would you consider that behavior, those activities, worse than just repeating words of representatives on air?
Oh, a lot worse.
Okay, all right.
A lot worse. That's why this is very interesting coming from somebody like Tucker Carlson.
This is why I hate it when people on the so-called left or progressives go out of their way to give this dude, this clown, credit for being right every now and then. Knowing good and well, he's just playing everybody. He's just playing like the nice guy every now and then to kind of buffer out his fascist rhetoric. He is right every now and then for the purpose of buffering his xenophobia, his racism, his nationalistic kind of commentary.
Right.
Like that's really like why he needs to be right, just for his viewers. You know what I'm saying? Just to give himself something to, look sensible about. You know what I'm saying? He does that, and you got too many people on the left who go out of their way to give this dude credit. You know what I'm saying? So many people I like. And I'm just like a little bit disappointed that they go out of their way to do it. Like Kyle Kalinske does it. I love the dude, but sometimes I'm just like, stop it. Like, you already know it's a lie, because there have been plenty of tapes uncovered that kind of illustrate how anytime you think he's right, he's actually just bullshitting, because what he has said actually undercuts that. You know, Jink of the Young Turks,
a few times.
he does that a few times. Jimmy Dore does it. Oh, look, he's right about this. Glenn Greenwald goes out of his way to do it, and even goes on his network. I'm like, why are you giving this dude airtime? All you're doing is boosting the popularity of his other points. You're just signal boosting all of his other points.
True. And what have I starting to say a lot about demagogues? Like, if you want to do anything about demagogues, you really want to take away their microphone. You don't want to bolster their platform and their positioning. You don't want more people to tune in and watch them.
Yeah, so every now and then Tucker Carlson will like issue some sort of populist language every now and then, and it was like, see, even Tucker Carlson is right about this.
Right.
And I'm like, no, he's bullshitting.
Right. And by saying take away their microphone, that's not me saying that the dude should be censored. I'm saying that his big, gigantic platform, that should dissipate by people choosing to tune him out. By these people going onto his platform, that encourages other people to watch him. No, we need less people.
And be open to those other things.
Yes.
Be open to those other messages, and that's the point.
One more thing about, I guess, and this is a different direction about President Donald Trump, but this just shows his very presidential style, I guess. The former Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, he was before the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Tuesday, and he was speaking about Trump's foreign policy strategy. And I guess he said some things that President Trump did not like. And this is, you know, he said things before about how they don't share the same, I think, like ethics and morals. But Trump took to Twitter to blast them. Because obviously Rex Tillerson said something about, I guess, when Trump met Vladimir Putin and how Putin seemed better prepared for that meeting than President Trump was. So Trump did not like that. And so this is how he responded on Twitter by saying, Rex Tillerson, a man who is dumb as a rock and totally ill-prepared and ill-equipped to be Secretary of State, made up a story, he got fired, that I was out-prepared by Vladimir Putin at a meeting in Hamburg, Germany. I don't think Putin would agree. Look how the U.S. is doing.
Ill-equipped.
Ill-equipped and ill-prepared.
Ill-equipped
and ill-prepared.
But you chose him, though.
You not only did you, I mean, he was the Secretary of State from the outset, from the beginning of your presidency.
And Trump,
your first choice.
And Trump was kind of so bullheaded and so extreme with how he wanted to approach things. We found ourselves agreeing with a former Exxon CEO. We were like, how?
You remember when he was appointed?
Exxon, right? Exxon,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was appointed? We were like, oh no, man, not this dude.
Not this dude.
Yeah, because if we had negative things to say about Hillary Clinton and her being in that role as Secretary of State, we were like, oh my gosh, man, you're putting this guy as Secretary of State? This has all the makings as bad news. This is a bad situation. And he turned out to be like the voice of reason.
The voice of reason. He was the one that was against ripping apart the Iran deal.
Right. Mm-hmm. He wanted to go a diplomatic approach with North Korea. And at the time, Trump was not doing that whatsoever. He was flaming things up. But Tillerson is ill-prepared and, what was the other one? Ill-prepared and what was it?
Ill-equipped.
Ill-equipped and ill-prepared. There you go.
Then again, that's definitely projection.
It is.
There was some leaks from the White House early in Trump's, I guess, presidency, where White House aides said they had to kind of, I guess, diminish or shorten certain reports because they were too long. He couldn't keep his attention
because he don't want to read.
Yeah, he doesn't want to read, so they kind of had to shrink down certain national security reports or anything, any kind of reports, any kind of briefing, they had to kind of like minimize it to appeal to Trump's slow attention span. So I guess you could say he had like a Palin-esque type of attention span,
because he just wanted things done.
Just done. He
didn't care about if they were constitutional or not.
And he didn't even like to read the shortened versions.
That's right. That's right.
And so and sometimes when Trump says he doesn't know something, and sometimes I actually want to side with him and say, you know what, he probably didn't know because he doesn't like to read.
All right, so let's move on. All right, so we're gonna go to a candidate on the trail, on the election 2020 trail. Beto O'Rourke from Texas, former representative in Texas, former candidate for Senate in Texas, ran against Senator Ted Cruz, lost by not too much. It was it's a strong race, a good showing, but he ended up losing. Now he is running for president, one of the 23 Democrats who has announced their candidacy for president in 2020. Anyway, recently Beto O'Rourke had a town hall on CNN, and the subject of healthcare obviously was brought up. And there was a member of the audience, a lady, asking questions about healthcare, and his feelings about it, how it's going to get better, because she has MS, I believe. And she was talking about medication that she needs and that she has to take, and it costing a whopping amount of money. I believe, one dose or something like that costing I think 20 grand or something like that. So she just really wanted to hear his ideas on healthcare. So that's where this clip is going to pick up, him talking about his vision.
His vision and his solution.
Because he got solutions.
He's got solutions. He's got policy.
He got policy. All right, so let's show this clip.
To add insult to injury, you and I, as taxpayers, have funded so much of the research and development for the cures and the medications and the pharmaceuticals that are sold back to us at the highest prices on the planet. We prevent you from buying from Canada or from Europe or somewhere else where you can purchase it cheaper. And we refuse to use the purchasing power of Medicare, the leverage in all of the prescription medications that we buy for those beneficiaries, to drive the price down. We have a plan to address this. We're going to make sure that every single American has access to high-quality, universal health care without exception. There's a plan called Medicare for America. That will ensure that everyone who does not have care today is enrolled in Medicare. Those who have insufficient care, they can't make the copay after insurance kicks in or afford the premium or bridge the deductible, they can choose Medicare as well. But those who have employer-sponsored insurance and like it because it works for them and their families are able to keep it. And we use the leverage of this government, not just for Medicare, but Medicaid beneficiaries, VA beneficiaries, TRICARE beneficiaries, to bring the prices of these medications down so that you and other Americans can afford them. That's what we should be able to do. Thank you, Diane, for asking the question. Appreciate it. Yep.
So you mentioned your plan, or the plan that you signed on to, Medicare for America. Why not Medicare for all?
I think about Diane. I think about Joey, a young man, 27 years old, that I met in Laredo, Texas. He's been to a doctor once in his life because he does not have insurance. And that doctor told him that he had diabetes, that he had glaucoma, and that he would be dead before the age of 40 because he's not getting any care right now in this country. Joey, Diane, others, they don't have time for us to get to the perfect solution. If we were to start from scratch, maybe we would start with a single payer, but we've got to work with the system that we have here today. The surest, quickest way to get there is Medicare for America. It guarantees every single person in this country gets the care that they need to live to their full potential and do those things that they were placed on this planet to perform in the first place. So that's why I support that plan.
Man, oh man. You know,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but see, one thing I noticed when, a politician actually has like substantive policy proposals or an offer, they get straight to it. Mm-hmm. I was just amazed at how much zero he was able to fit inside a 3-minute span. a little time span. That's what I noticed. It was a lot of like talking,
and it was actually longer than those 3 minutes.
It was actually longer than those.
We
3
just
minutes.
showed you about 3 minutes.
And like in question and answer situations like this, I wish like viewers would notice how they're being subtly slow rolled, right? Because like notice what he first did. He acknowledged the problem.
Yeah.
He expressed empathy.
I mean, it's a good starting point.
Yeah. He expressed empathy in regard to the problem. He sprinkled in an anecdote or two. Then what do you offer as a solution? You offer some milquetoast solution to wrap up the whole response.
Medicare for America. That's his idea. That's his solution. He's not the one that authored this policy. He has championed it now. He's kind of like the face of it now. Again, he didn't author it, but this is where he's at. This is his path forward. This is what he thinks the path forward for the United States should be. Not Medicare for all, Medicare for America. And so you kind of have to get into how they differ. Why would you be stumping for Medicare for America but not Medicare for all?
I'm glad she asked that follow-up question.
Yes, I'm glad too.
I'm glad she asked that follow-up
Props to Dana
question.
Bash for doing that. Yeah. So Medicare for America, of course, it's not Medicare for all. It would still result in out-of-pocket costs for the consumer. Somewhere down the line, it may get to a point where everybody is covered, but that's definitely not where it would be at, right on the front end. If it was even passed, not everybody would be covered. It would still result in some people not being able to afford it. I have many problems with this. I guess my biggest problem, no, you know what? I got many big problems with this. But I guess where I would start out is he argues in favor of this like, I guess he's coming from a phony place, because he talks about employer health care plans, and he talks about, hey, if you like your your employer health care plan, you can keep it, and it works for you and you like it, blah blah blah. That's a phony place to come from, because we know that that employer can change plans anytime they want to. Oftentimes it is yearly, because of course you want a better plan for your employees. You want the lowest cost for yourself as an employer as well. So it's not about the doctor that you go to, because if you have Medicare for all, you can go to the same doctor that you've been going to. Do you understand? You're coming from a phony place. Why would you talk about the employer angle? Why would you do the utmost to protect the private healthcare industry? Why would you do the utmost to do that?
Really? Really well?
I mean, I'm sorry, if you're coming from a genuine place, why would you do the most to protect this industry?
Because
stay solvent.
But see, I think you already know the answer to that. You already know the answer to that, because it's not genuine. He's trying to protect the money of folk who invest in the healthcare industry. Yep. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to appeal to this, like, hey, I care about you. Yep. I care about your situation kind of sentiment. But in actuality, he gives an answer that reveals that he's trying to protect the healthcare. Or actually, I'm sorry, I don't even like to call it the healthcare industry, because they're not into healthcare.
No.
They're the insurance
That's the insurance
industry.
Company. Yeah, that's the insurance
But yeah, like he didn't even address the problem that the questioner presented. He never addressed it. All he did was like lull the audience and lull the viewer asleep with like some empty appeal. Like he cares about them, but then on the back end, he doesn't actually address the problem. And I've noticed like he's very good at that. Kamala Harris is very good at that. Cory Booker is very good at that. These long, drawn-out answers that kind of give it gives a good impression that they're sympathizing and they're kind of restating the problem. But really, the answer is very milquetoasty. Now, there's another candidate that's supposed to be the front runner, which is Biden. Actually, he doesn't even do that.
No, he doesn't do that.
He didn't do that at all.
No.
He didn't do that at all. He didn't waste time doing that.
No. That is the difference in strategy. like, how is this answer that Beto O'Rourke gave? How is that different than what Hillary Clinton said before? You remember that I guess that excerpt from remarks that she was saying at a rally back in 2016 when she said something like, we can't have this theoretical debate about some idea that will never ever come to pass, something like that. How is what he said in response to Dana's Bass questions, like why not Medicare for all, how is that different than what Hillary Clinton's saying? He said that if we were starting from zero, maybe we'll go from we would go with the idea of going right towards single payer. But we just can't wait. Too many people are in need, and I think this is the idea that will benefit the most people. You can't be a progressive. There's no way you could be a progressive with an attitude like that. We know that it's going to be hard as hell for something like single payer to actually be passed. The only way that it will be passed if you actually stick to your guns, that you don't back off 1 second, you don't relent at all. I don't think this is an area where there can be some, I'll negotiate a little bit and now we don't have single payer. No, that's the direction we need to go in. If it works for damn near every other industrialized country across the globe, then we should have it as well. You can't say that we shouldn't have it, but every other damn country has it.
You know what else is dishonest that really stuck out to me in his answer? This whole week, we got to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep.
We got to start from scratch. Like,
that sounds like Hillary Clinton, too.
That sounds like Hillary Clinton. Like, what does that even mean? Like we got to start all over. Like, there's nothing in place right now.
Right.
Like, we haven't started, like, the conversation, or we don't have any kind of infrastructure in place already.
We don't have healthcare in place.
No, exactly. I was about to say, we don't have any healthcare law, any insurance law at all right now. Everything is going to be from scratch. That's a cop-out. And see, I'll go a little bit further than you. Like, you say that sounds like Hillary Clinton. Yes, it sounds like Hillary Clinton, but I think, like, the end goal or the aim is the same as, let's say, somebody on the other side, like Republicans.
Right.
They just, conservative corporatists just have like a different method of upholding the status quo than corporatist liberals. Like, conservative corporatists will just blatantly fearmonger in order to give themselves an excuse not to, I guess, push more revolutionary policy that actually helps people. They'll be more blatant. They'll be like the creeping socialism or death panels. So they'll blatantly fearmonger. Whereas like corporatist liberals, they'll be a little bit more subtle with how they want to uphold the status quo. They go more of like the passive route. They've mastered the art of erecting imaginary obstacles.
It's too divisive.
Yeah, and that's one of them. That's one of those imaginary. That's not really an obstacle. Right. That's an imaginary obstacle.
That's right.
One of them, like you said, is being divisive, and the another obstacle, something he kind of tried to put out there, was what? Time. That was Beto's imaginary obstacle. Right. So now time is the enemy and not me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they have a more like passive way.
Right. I'm just doing the best I can here.
Yeah, so they don't fearmonger. They don't do that. But they still try to like erect these little imaginary barriers. You know what I'm saying? To give themselves an excuse not to push actual policy that's going to help people.
He's full of shit, man. Like I said, a progressive wouldn't go there whatsoever. If you actually want to do something, if you actually have an idea, if Beto O'Rourke is telling you to your face in response to Dana Bash's question, the best idea is single payer, because he virtually admitted the best idea is single payer, but we can't do it because we just can't do it. It's not my fault. Ain't got the time. It's too divisive. You know what I'm saying?
Brian, the time.
This is the best idea. It's not gonna cover everybody, but this is the best. No. Again, you stick to your guns. You go for it. We see Republicans do it all the time, and we just know throughout history, Democrats always capitulate. They always capitulate. They always like take a step back, and then it gets all muddied up. And what we have is something that it wasn't the outset. That's not what we signed up for. And so that's what he's saying, man. Medicare for America, not Medicare for all. Wish we had some more time, but we don't. Sorry. It's bullshit, man.
We just got through talking about how many bills that have been passed, right? By the Democrats.
In the House.
Or in the House. Yeah. But that was in regard to what Sarah Huckabee Sanders was saying.
Yeah. It's been over 100.
Way over 100.
Yeah, way over 100.
So it was like, what, over 200?
Was it? Yeah, it could have been. Actually, it could have been.
All right.
I can't remember.
All right. So I don't think time is an issue. How much time does he think we have? Let's just say from now until the election.
Yeah.
That's a year and a half.
Yeah.
So we don't have time? We don't have time? Because this is about a 2020 election, right? It's essentially like I guess that's the undertone of it all. That since he's running for president, this is about a 2020 election, you would think that that's kind of like the undertone of that question. Like, hey, what are you going to do in 2020? Right? So that's the underlying question. They have a year and a half to come up with something. So you mean to tell me there's no time? There's no time. There's no time. Because too many people are going to suffer in between then. We got to come up with something quick.
If he is elected the next president, like you said, there's like a year and a half until that point. Anyways, you can't do anything until you are elected and actually on inauguration day
he's gonna start
in January. So I mean,
you
can't do anything anyway.
He's going to start from scratch on January 20th, 2021.
You know what was real funny is that, again, like we noted, he admitted that Medicare for all is the best plan. We just can't do it at this time. When he began talking about like his plan and he said universal health care, the audience started clapping loud. Yeah. And then he says Medicare for America. Medicare for America is not universal health care. It's not universal health coverage.
See, that's where he was being deceptive. And you know what's so funny? Like, after he was asked a follow-up question, didn't you hear some claps? Didn't you hear some claps? Like, why not Medicare for all?
Right.
And there was like claps.
Yeah,
I was like,
because he paused.
Because he paused.
He paused.
And I think there was some people in the audience who recognized that, hey, wait a second. Why aren't you for Medicare for all?
Right.
What's this?
I think that's where they thought he was going when he said universal health coverage or health care, whatever.
But what really he is kind of trying to co-opt terminology in order to push like a ACA with a bow on it.
A watered down idea.
You see what I'm saying? It's basically ACA with a bow on it. But he's just kind of co-opting the language and like putting that on top of it. Purposely.
He's a fraud, man. He is a fraud. All right. So we have two topics that really aren't political.
Yeah, just light topics to close the show out with. You know what I'm saying?
One is kind of, you know, we kind of broached this subject on the last episode. I think it was the last show.
Yeah, what really wasn't us who kind of brought it up though.
It was a caller.
I think it was Jordan brought it up.
Right.
It was kind of centered around like sociopaths.
Right.
And then I kind of, I guess, took the argument or took his comments to another level and talked about sociopaths and whether they're in our government or not. So conversation went that way. So
there is a post on Reddit that went viral. A lot of people, have been drawn to it. It's getting a lot of attention, and it's from a father. Nobody, of course, Reddit is pretty much anonymous, so you don't know exactly who he is. But he claims to be a father of a 25-year-old woman, and he has a concern. So I'll just start off by reading, beginning of this, really. So the guy says on Reddit, "I'm the dad of a 25-year-old woman who I love very much. I've been able to have a good relationship with my daughter and I enjoy my time with her. But there's one thing about her that would give many people pause. She is a diagnosed sociopath." So he goes on to say that they started to notice odd behavior from her when she was, a small kid, a little child. She would get in trouble at school for lying, cruel behavior. but with a lot of therapy, I guess her actions became better. I guess she got better at not being cruel, or, you know, not acting out like that. Not in the, like, she's actually feeling stuff, but that she wasn't acting out like that, acting like she didn't have any morals or feelings or anything like that.
No empathy.
No empathy.
Yeah.
So he said that she was officially diagnosed when she was 18. So then let's go back to his post. He continues. She's law-abiding, has a decent job and a good education, and has many good friendships and admirers, especially male admirers. She is very, very charming and adept at attracting guys and maintaining their interests. So then he begins talking about a boyfriend that she has, and a boyfriend that he likes and that he respects and he thinks is, you know, a pretty good dude. But there's a problem because he doesn't believe that she really feels for him. So he says, I doubt she loves him. We've had some very honest, in-depth discussions about her mental health since her diagnosis, and she's been open with me that she doesn't feel love or empathy towards anyone, even family. When she acted very sad and broken up over the death of one of her closest friends at the funeral, she confessed to me privately that it was all a put on and that she felt pretty neutral about the whole thing. She has also stated she has never once felt guilty about anything she's ever done and doesn't know what guilt feels like. While she enjoys being around her boyfriend and is sexually attracted to him, I highly doubt she feels much of anything towards him love-wise.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially coming from a father.
It is.
Now, when he was detailing, I guess, the therapy that she was getting, that was more or less like when she was older, right?
Yes.
That was over a period of time.
Right.
And, you know, he cited times where she was younger that gave them indications that, yeah, something's wrong with this chick.
Right.
Something's wrong with our daughter.
Right.
Now, naturally, I think when you're younger, it's easier to see those things because those mental boundaries haven't set in yet. You know, you act out a little more. You know what I'm saying? So as you get older, you learn to, like, control it more.
Right.
Whether it's gone or not, her specific case, her specific issue, whether it's actually gone, whether the therapy actually did anything, that's probably up in the air considering what he's recently said about her. Like, it's all been an act. Like, if she recently revealed that the emotions that she showed at her funeral was all an act, all she did was learn how to bury it.
Yeah.
All she did was learn how to kind of like act normal.
It's a performance.
So it's a performance. So that's all really her therapy, you know, did for her, was kind of learn how to perform. I'm not saying her therapy did that. I just think that getting older probably does that.
Yeah. Because as a kid, of course.
As a kid, you don't know how to do that yet.
You don't even have, like, if you don't have the ability to feel, and you don't have the ability to feel for others, empathize with others, then it's going to show because you're immature, one.
So your self-awareness starts to come,
Yeah.
and then you like, oh crap, like, in order to maneuver in this real world and, you know, engage with people, damn, I gotta put on an act. So it's actually really good that she, I guess, got to this position and didn't really hurt somebody seriously, because to be immature and a sociopath, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And see, the thing is, that would be something that would definitely be in the back of my mind if I found out that the person I was with or the person that I was going to marry, like had those issues. I just not just because like there might be some danger, because that's usually where people go.
Right.
Like, there's going to be a danger, but like where I'm going is like, is our interaction genuine?
Right.
That's where I'm gonna go. Like, is this interaction we are having, is it a genuine interaction?
Right.
Like, when we're bonding, is it actually bonding? Is it like is it an act? Because
So
part of bonding has to do with kind of the recognition of like emotions and whatnot.
Right. So that's where I guess this father is having difficulty, because he believes that the boyfriend is going to propose soon, and so that has him feeling, you know, he feels like he's in a difficult position here. So he continues. He says, I've made it clear to her that she needs to tell him the truth before they marry, that he has the right to know and consider it, or I will, to which she always responds, I know you wouldn't dare. I actually would. I really like and respect this young man and would feel awful keeping this secret from him and let him walk into a marriage without this piece of knowledge. So he also says that he's, not trying to ruin, her daughter's future, not trying to sabotage this relationship. And then in closing, he asked, am I the asshole? And so that prompted a lot of people to respond. Like I said, this has gotten a lot of attention. And it seems to be that most people do empathize with the father, and they do believe that the father should say something to this boyfriend if she won't. Because I can just imagine that's something that they have the right to know that, because like what you're saying, the difficulty that you're having with it is like, as a person dealing with a sociopath, is this real or not? Like, is what you're giving me real or not? If we have kids,
I was about to say, yeah.
How are your reactions? What is your attitude going to be to these kids? It's just.
Are you going to be able to?
It's a difficult situation.
It's a difficult situation because, like when you're in full control of it, it's easier to be an actor.
Yeah.
When you're in full control of situations, it's easier to become an actor.
Yeah.
But like as soon as you start to have kids, there's going to be a lot of situations that you will not be able to predict, and you have to react to. You just can't turn it on and off like that. It's going to be a little bit difficult for her to kind of like maintain like that character. If
you're dealing with adults, I mean, you may be able to get away with not feeling stuff, but dealing with kids are irrational. Kids are emotional to extreme proportions. If you don't feel for those kids, I really can't understand how you could.
It's like a reptile.
Honestly,
like a reptile.
Exactly. Like, how could you honestly deal with a kid that's crying and there's no reason for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to deal with these kids' emotions, and all of them as well. They're your kids. You're gonna have to care for these kids without actually caring about these kids. I can't even imagine being put in that position.
Hey.
So this father believes this guy has the right to know before he actually enters into some official relationship with this woman.
I think he knows what decision he has to make.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's putting it out there to actually get pushback.
Right.
He's not putting it out there to get pushback. It's kind of like this. Sometimes when we have an issue and we know what we got to do, but we truly haven't like parsed everything out in our heads, right? We will go to a particular friend who we subconsciously, we know the answer that friend is going to give us.
Right.
We just want that friend to validate where we already are.
Right.
And so based on where we are, we'll go to a particular friend to validate what we know we got to do.
Especially if you're coming from somewhere reasonable and logical.
Yeah, we just do that just to make,
you kind of need that shove.
You need that shove. And so
because this is his daughter.
And he laid out the case.
Right.
Very objectively,
right.
Even though that's his daughter. And I think he knew what response he was going to get. That's why he asked, am I the asshole?
Right.
He knows he's not. He knows he's not.
But I can imagine he feels like he is.
He feels like he is, but he knows where he is, and he just needs that push. So he goes to a place, to the public, because he probably needs a big-ass push.
Yeah.
And he knows what the public is going to say because he knows where he is. True. He just wants a bunch of people to validate where he already is in his mind. And I can understand. He's the father of somebody who's a sociopath, right? Who and he's trying to look out for someone he doesn't have a real paternal connection with, and that's the boyfriend. If it was the other way around, I don't even think he would waste time posting on the internet.
No.
I don't even think he wastes any time thinking about it.
Like if he found out the boyfriend.
If the boyfriend
was a sociopath,
it would be he would just,
he would tell her.
He would tell her.
No
but
doubt.
because of his daughter, there's like some sort of, emotional connection. Yeah, there's an emotional connection. He has a paternal connection to her. And he wants her to be happy while at the same time, he has empathy for other people. Yeah. And it's like he doesn't want another person to be hurt by his daughter.
I'm actually concerned for him, though, the father. And not to say, though I can't rule it out, like a safety concern or anything like that. It's just that this post has gotten a lot of attention. I mean, there are articles about it as well. So it's anonymous. We don't know, who it's about. And there's, I don't think there's any way that it would get to the boyfriend and him figure out that, hey, it's me. But it's a good chance that the daughter would know that, hey, that's me.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, there was too many details within that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Way too many details. Her age.
Exactly. So it's like if I think it would be easy for her to know that was her just by reading that.
Right.
It's like, wait a second. Yeah, I went through therapy.
Right.
That I did go to a funeral.
Right.
And I have a boyfriend that's about to marry me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder.
So I wonder, see, for an individual that doesn't have emotional connections, how is she going to feel?
Is she going to feel?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a question.
What's her reaction going to be to reading something like this from her dad, who she doesn't really have a relationship, an emotional relationship with?
Or she can't.
So what's going to be her reaction?
Whew.
You know what I'm saying? That's concerning.
Because I think there's another concern as well. It's like, because she is kind of been diagnosed as a sociopath, like maybe there's something that he might be afraid of flip within her.
Because it could always happen.
It could always
happen. Because she could just decide not to be a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, I'm saying, I think you can be a sociopath but still have those instinctual human needs to be around other people, even though you don't feel the emotion. So she may have this instinctual need to be around other people and to socialize, but her being a sociopath affects that.
Right.
So then if she cannot activate that part of her that's instinctual, how will that flip her?
Yeah.
And will that kind of affect or change or transform her sociopathy into something different, maybe something violent, something, you know what I'm saying?
And even if it isn't violent, it could be that she doesn't want to have any communication with him anymore too. And again, that's concerning for this guy who obviously, loves his daughter, but he doesn't believe that this information should be left out of somebody that's going to be entering into like an official pact with her. So
I think maybe because someone says, I think it's Mandy Sadowski says, anyone could decide to be an unlawful person. I think you were being vague, but I think what Will means by unlawful is more or less like maybe hurting other people.
Yeah, you're right. Anybody could decide to do that, but you couldn't decide to do that. A normal person, I guess, couldn't decide to do that without there being some kind of emotional, that you would have to rectify that, or you would have to decide to you would have to decide to shut off your emotions. If you're, you know what I'm saying? You would have to decide not to care about other people.
Because we have to kind of acknowledge that she's actually not a normal person.
She could do it like that, and there would be no change.
That's what I'm saying. Most people have that, I guess you would call it, emotional barrier there.
Right. It prevents you from doing things.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just the law, because I don't care. I don't care if there's laws or not. There's certain things that I won't do because I have something in me that's I'm not going to hurt this other person because why would I do that? That's wrong. If she doesn't have that in her, and the only thing that's preventing her from doing that is the law, it's like anything could really set her off.
Yeah, and something like this coming from her father could.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that even sociopaths still have this instinctual need to socialize and be around people. It's just there's that part that's missing that doesn't allow them to empathize with people or have emotions.
What's interesting about that, though, is he talked about how she was at the funeral of one of her closest friends, and it was an act. She told him later that it was an act, that she really was pretty neutral about it. That was his words, or maybe that's what her words were. It's interesting. I understand that a sociopath is what a sociopath is. They lack the ability to care, to empathize, to have really morals or anything like that. But it's strange. Like, okay, so you put yourself in a position to where you actually do have relationships, right? So this close friend of yours is no longer here. How do you not feel anything about that? Because she's gone. Wouldn't you at least a little bit miss the interaction that you had with her on a regular basis?
Like I said, it does seem like she still has the instinctual desire to socialize and engage with people, right? Because she has the ability to communicate. You want reciprocity in some kind of area. So you do have the ability and the inclinations to form at least superficial relationships and engagements with the public and everybody else, which kind of is illustrated by her having a friend.
Right.
But then when that friend dies, it's like,
I can do without.
Yeah, I can do without. So it's like, dang, that's heavy. And again, it's like, it's not, obviously, it's like, can we blame her though? Because she was born.
Nah,
we can't blame her.
Can't blame
her. That's just a position she didn't put herself in.
Yeah.
That's a position she didn't put herself in.
It's a tough position to be in as a father, but like you said, I think he understands what, he has to do. All right, so we got one more. We got one more.
I don't think they're ready for this one.
No.
I can guarantee you.
Yeah, you weren't ready. You weren't ready.
Yo, man. You
weren't ready.
I still haven't recovered, actually.
Yeah.
I still haven't recovered.
This is beyond stupid, okay? This is beyond stupid. This is when you're doing way too much. This is when you, like, there's doing too much, and then there's, like, you way down the street, okay? Probably everybody is familiar with the name Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian West, married to the entertainer Kanye West. Kim Kardashian, who is a celebrity for no good reason.
No good reason at all. How did she become famous? First, how did she make a name for herself?
A sex tape.
A sex tape. And it wasn't even a sex tape that she made with somebody else who was famous.
Not really.
It was almost like this person was kind of famous through somebody else.
A little bit famous.
He was the brother of a celebrity. The brother of somebody famous.
Yeah. I mean, there was some fame attached to him.
There was a little bit.
But he was Brandy's brother.
Brandy's brother.
He was Brandy's brother.
Ray J. I mean, he did end up, having a little reality show. He did have a music career.
He did have a music career.
Yeah. But
One Wish.
I always thought he was whack. I always thought he was whack. Didn't he make a song called, like, I Hit It First or something? Is that him?
I think so. I couldn't tell you because all I know that he made was, there was one whack one too, but I don't remember the name of that one either. But all I can really recite is One Wish. That's all I can cite.
I can't recite nothing.
But anyway, it's not about Ray J. This is about Kim Kardashian. So, Kim Kardashian, apparently she went to a Jack in the Box, which is a fast food restaurant. And apparently she had a gripe, some kind of issue she had with Jack in the Box. So she kind of put this out there on Twitter for everyone to see and for Jack in the Box to see, even though she didn't tag Jack in the Box. So initially, this is what she said on Twitter. Hey, Jack in the Box, I have a serious complaint, but I won't fully put you on blast. Check your corporate email inbox or send me a DM with direct person for my team to contact. Pronto. So that sounds like an order.
Yo, man, I'm like,
Pronto.
Man, like, what did they do, man?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I was like, okay, it's got to be more than just getting her order wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, maybe, they just, I don't know, put something on her food that she was allergic to, that she told him not to put on there.
Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the employees were exploiting her existence in their establishment and maybe taking too many pictures. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. She felt uncomfortable. Either she felt uncomfortable there, or there was something seriously wrong with her food, or maybe maybe she was something wrong with her daughter's food too. Maybe, because that's what I'm saying. Maybe allergic. Something had to happen.
It sounds like a grievance.
Yeah.
Like a serious grievance. Like, we need to talk. So again, she didn't tag Jack in the Box, but it wasn't long before Jack in the Box got word of this.
Somebody told him.
Somebody told him.
Yeah,
because see, she's that celebrity now, to where word travels. Her voice travels. So somebody let Jack in the Box know, and so they responded to her tweet, and they said, "Hi Kim, we were unable to DM you. Please send us a DM with how we can get in touch with your team, and someone will reach out immediately." So, that's them doing their due diligence at this point. At this point, people were aware of, this situation playing out. So there was a lot of people speculating, okay, like, well, what happened? What happened to Jack in the Box? Did you do this, do that? There were even some other fast food restaurants that got into the conversation.
I know Wendy's did.
Yeah, so
okay.
This is a few of them. Burger King said Jack in the Box to the principal's office, trying to make fun of it. Wendy's, with all the shade in the world, saying, but like, who even goes there? Hooters, not a good day to be Jack. And then Shake Shack just with the eyes, like, oh, snap, what's going on, right? So, look, I don't follow Kim Kardashian. All right, so I didn't see this on her Twitter account. I didn't catch wind of this or anything. All right, so it's not me following Kim Kardashian. I could care less, or I couldn't care less. That's actually what it is. I couldn't care less. But I read an article. Okay, so I read an article about this, and I wasn't sure that it was gonna come to like the end of the story where we all actually found out about what the grievance was. Like, what is the issue?
Again, like, I'm making an assumption based on people's typical grievances when they go to a restaurant, whether it be fast food or not, and I thought it was going to be food related, or maybe she was treated in a certain way that she didn't like.
Well, it was that one. It was that one. She was treated in a way that she didn't like. And so for more specifics on that, Kim Kardashian herself explains what happened. So she says, hold on, that's the last one. That's the last one. All right, so this is her explaining. She says, I would like to add that this is not about me or a wrong order. Nobody recognized me, and it's something that I observed that affected other customers at this particular location that was concerning. Yeah. She wasn't recognized. I guess she wasn't recognized by the staff at Jack in the Box. And what's concerning is that, I guess customers recognized her and
see, this is a great example. A great example. In situations like this that point to Kim Kardashian's incessant need for attention.
Oh gosh.
And also,
a great example.
This is exactly why we're not quick to give her so much credit for her criminal justice work. Because we know how we suspect how little of a role she actually played in some of these situations.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the recent news that came out a few weeks ago about her now planning to make a reality show based on her efforts. Wow. That to me screams of
Look at me.
Look
I
what I did. I want more attention. And that's kind of like, what was her motive for getting involved in these few cases? Yeah. Even though for the most part, in the cases that she was involved in, there was a lot of other people who did the work.
Right. And this is something that she came to. When we're talking about that, criminal justice reform, talking about inmates that are in federal prison without the chance of parole. They're in federal prison. They have, nonviolent crimes, all of this. She came on behalf of one of them because she saw a viral video. And she was like, oh, well, this is wrong. You know what? Let me talk to somebody about this.
It's still like the inclinations behind why she, I guess, did that and why she, like the path she chose, still seems to be rooted in her getting accolades and bringing attention to herself.
Right. So it wasn't like she was in this fight for a long time. She saw a video. And then used her celebrity and was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about Alice Marie Johnson. I saw her video. I'm going to talk about her. Where you at with others? You ain't nowhere to be found. She said that the staff didn't recognize her and it affected the customers.
And that's why, like, I'm thinking that when she was talking about how she wasn't recognized, she is talking about the employees. Oh gosh. Like, I don't know how it would
because
affect.
You know what
she meant? Actually, what she meant is they didn't recognize me, and they didn't bring attention to me being there.
They didn't cause a scene.
So guess what? When she says it affected the customer, she's actually saying their lack of action caused like customers not to recognize me. So she's basically saying like it affected or it didn't affect the customers because she wanted. Okay, number one, first, she's full of shit. Number one, to say that like I don't want to put you on blast. You have millions of followers. And you're putting it on social media. How you gonna sit there and say, oh, I don't want to put you on blast? You know exactly what you're doing. Yep. And then, like you said, she didn't tag them.
Didn't tag them.
And then you say, you don't put out something public and say DM me. You say you go and DM them first. Yep. And then what even shows me is even she's more full of shit is the fact that they came back and said, yeah, we couldn't DM you. That's what she wanted.
And she's the one, it wasn't like this was leaked, like what the actual problem was. She's the one that actually, so I don't want you to put you on blast, but this is the actual reason why I'm putting you on
Not only blast. That, she says, it's not about me, but then is mad. Exactly. It's not about me, but then my complaint is that I wasn't recognized.
So the complaint is you should do a better job in how you treat celebrities.
Like, what was she expecting? You know how, like...
Red carpet, man.
I was about to say. They were
Jack in the Box.
They were expecting Jack in the Box to just roll out the red carpets, break out the velvet ropes.
Yeah.
Like, have, like, some, like, I guess, camera guys on site. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was she expecting? Was she expecting, like, the person that was taking the order to just stop what they doing?
Right.
Stop their job?
Right.
And be like, yo, Justin, we need you to get off them fries right now. And like, whatever you doing back there, we need you to stop because we got a celebrity in the building. Them fries don't matter. Them chicken fingers,
get on the red carpet, man.
You need to get
Unroll
on the red carpet
and get it outside. Man.
Yeah, so because then he makes whoever's at the front makes the announcement. He's like, hey, we got a celebrity in the house. I know y'all enjoying y'all Jack in the Box, but we have a celebrity in the house. We have Kim Kardashian. Want everybody to give it up. Like, what is she expecting?
Like I said, this was so stupid that it was like, man, if you haven't heard this yet, man, like a lot of people give celebrities a lot more credit and attention than they really deserve. Like when they do things that are notable, like that are not self-serving, that are really trying to benefit other people's lives, then yeah, they should get attention. They should get all the accolades and all that. I mean, because celebrities are people too, of course, right? And if they're using their celebrity to put somebody else in a better situation, stuff like that, yeah, I mean they should be celebrated in that regard. But when somebody like Kim Kardashian, man, and her whole entire career has been me, look at me.
But all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that she is now some sort of selfless advocate. And if we don't give her all the credit in the world, we just hate her. Man, get out of here, man. I swear. They should, you know what? The next time she come in there, they should give her like they should serenade her, but do it sarcastically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, just throw a bunch of fries at her and just something.
And wasn't it Van Jones too? Because Van Jones is on this whole kind of, prison reform type thing. And he was the one that was giving her a lot of credit too for being a voice and like, why?
Oh, his nose was wide open. And maybe I'm a little, biased because see, I never thought she was all that. Never. I never thought she was all that. Me personally. She's repulsive to me.
Well, her being is repulsive.
Maybe that causes me to like. It alters how I see her, even like with my eyes. So
well,
to me, I never even thought. To me, I just never even thought. I don't like to call people ugly. She's just not my type. That's why.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that.
I don't like to call her ugly. I don't like to call people ugly. But
I don't say ugly either.
I just say not feeling her. To me, I never really just. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just never felt her. There's a lot of people growing up that like my friends felt that I was like, no, like who like.
You got the name drop?
Well, no. Well, yeah, I'm about to name drop. Not name drop like friends, but typical like entertainers that most of my friends were like, oh, she fine.
You about to say Halle Berry, ain't you?
Hell yes. How did you know?
Because I know you, man. I know you, though.
I never did.
Halle Berry was fine.
I didn't say
fine.
I didn't say. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying like I was never just like mouth wide open.
Okay, all right.
And you know who else? Mariah Carey. She like a damn mouse to me, though.
Nah, I was
never
on,
like
nah,
never
I was
like
on Mariah Carey.
I was. She looked like a little mouse to me.
I was very
or a big
big on
mouse.
Mariah Carey, dog. Straight up. I had Mariah Carey and Brandy on my wall, dog. Yeah.
Brandy, yeah, I thought it was Brandy.
Yeah, I had both of them.
It's probably see that's what I'm saying. It's probably more to do with like. How
but I had old Mariah on my wall. I'm talking about auburn hair Mariah, like 1990 curly.
Okay.
I'm talking about that Mariah.
All right. Yeah.
And I'm talking about straight hair. Change the image of
pretentious ass Mariah.
No, I'm not talking about that Mariah.
I like Janet. We talked about that last show.
Of course.
I like Janet Jackson.
Yes, no doubt.
Now, I don't think we talked about this on the show. We talked about this off the show, and that was it Vanity?
Oh yeah,
Vanity.
Yeah,
she was in. She was one. She was that was like Prince, one of Prince's artists.
Yeah. She was in
Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, Bruce.
Show enough.
Show enough.
What was that? What was it called?
It was the Last Dragon. Yes, The Last Dragon.
Show enough. Who's the best?
When I saw that movie, I rewound a few times because
of her.
Oh yes, because
no, yeah, Vanity.
Yeah, I was in.
So yeah, I was with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
With some, entertainers, singers, stars, whatever, or movie. But some of them, I was just like, I'm not going to feel this person just because all my friends are. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
I mean, Halle Berry was fine, but I wouldn't say that she was at the top of the list. Yeah.
Apollonia. Yeah.
Somebody said, L Train's in here saying Nia Long was way better than Halle Berry.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nia Long.
Yes, Nia Long.
Yeah, Nia Long.
Nia Long.
Yeah.
And most of us were introduced to Nia Long on Fresh Prince.
True.
I was like, they chose the perfect girlfriend. Not just because how she looked, like their chemistry was perfect for who Will was.
True.
It's kind of like, unfortunately, they had to do that.
She had an attitude.
She had an attitude.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny?
She challenged them.
And you know what's so fucked up about that? I think they did that on purpose, not just because of Will, because they fucked up with Vivian. Because Vivian was like that. Yeah. The first Vivian.
The first one.
The first Vivian was like that.
The second one
with Phil. The second one
really...
didn't really have a big role in it.
No, she
wasn't as sarcastic, crass. She didn't have the same attitude.
No. The first Vivian was way better.
Yeah, the second Vivian was whack, dog.
She was alright. Anyway, all right. But yeah, that whole Kim K jump was crazy, man. I didn't know the story was going there. I was expecting something else, not that she was not recognized. That is, boy, a celebrity you weren't recognized. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna open this up for calls. We had to have fun on that last one.
And I think it was. I think like it was good to have fun with that story, considering what she's been like hoisted up to be in recent, I guess, months or this recent year.
If without that, I'm not sure that we do this story because it's like, oh, this is stupid.
Y'all need to pump the brakes on this chick.
Exactly.
Like, giving the chick too much credit.
She is not like. She's not even an advocate. I would not call her an advocate. She is just somebody that is self-interested. She saw a viral video and decided to use her celebrity to make contact with the president.
And then again,
it's great for Alice Marie Johnson. We said that when we covered the story. Hey, it's great that she got out. It's great that somebody advocated for her. Great. Somebody used their celebrity to do it. Either way she got out, I'm glad for it. But there's many more like her. I don't see Kim K, talking up their names. I don't see her doing that. So, Kim Kardashian. I'm going too far with the she ain't attractive though.
I said I'm not.
I don't know about that. You never thought she was attractive? You never thought she was attractive?
I'm just like, she all right. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's weird for me. Like, I guess, like, when you're talking about, like, attractiveness, like, I guess you're talking about, like, whether there's, like, inclinations that draw you to somebody. Mm-hmm. That you can say, that person is all right or cute, but I am not attracted.
True.
You can acknowledge somebody, like, oh, I like the shape of that person's face. She all right. Mm-hmm. But as far as, like, damn, like, I just wasn't there. Just wasn't there. I'm not like, again, it's not about being up here being ugly. I'm just not really feeling her like her being. I'm not feeling her.
Well, you get to know who or what she is as a person, and that diminishes a lot. I will say that.
It definitely does. I've personally experienced that with people I was with. You know what I'm saying? You get with somebody, oh, this girl fine, son. You know what I'm saying? And
but I do remember having conversations about Halle Berry back in the day, and the common point of view was, you remember she was married to Eric Benet, and he was cheating on her. And so the common point of view was like, this dude crazy. How could you cheat on Halle Berry?
How could you cheat on Halle Berry?
Yeah, because she's so
fine. Like, as if somehow that is going to keep him.
Yeah.
Like, that's some bull crap. And then it
turns out
that she was the crazy one.
Yeah.
But
see, that's something that you learn
when you get
after, elementary, middle, high school. That's something that, like, life experience will teach you that somebody being fine is not a keeper. That alone? Oh no.
And see, what happens is you got see, the odds are stacked up against people who don't, I guess, care about that. The odds are stacked against people who don't overvalue that. Because what happens is most people overvalue it, so it gasses these people up. Mm-hmm. So when they come in contact with somebody who doesn't care about those things, right? To a certain extent doesn't care about those things, or they look past those things and see who you really are, it kind of throws that person off. I've been in situations like that where chick thought that like her cuteness was going to get her through this, or through me, or her cuteness was going to like exempt her from her bullshit. And I was like, you're not the only cute person on the damn planet. Like, you're not the only cute person. It's not like I can't.
See, that works again. See, that works at a younger age because your world is small.
Your world is small, and you don't require as much. You're still new to things. You're just looking for acceptance anywhere, and it doesn't matter. You're looking for attention anywhere. Anyone willing to accept that attention, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I like her. But
Moose Guy has a perspective. She says, forget the female celebrities. Who really is hot are the Affleck brothers.
Okay. I can't have an objective view on dudes because I'm not romantically or sexually attracted to dudes. I can look at a dude and say, that dude would probably be attractive to chicks.
Yeah, I can say that.
And I'd be like, okay, he has a facial structure. I can see that. And I was like, okay.
I've said that before. Like, I know that dude.
Maybe dude has like, chiseled, shoulders and abs. Like, I can see that dude being attractive. But like, I'm not objective because I'm not genuinely attracted to dudes. So I don't care who chicks think attractive. I was like, okay, whatever.
Affleck brothers.
Okay.
I wouldn't have said that though. Like even if you're talking about guys, you'd be like, okay, you can see that. I wouldn't have suspected the Affleck brothers. I wouldn't have.
And usually, for the most part, like if there's like some consensus, like amongst women about who is the most attractive or who's the sexiest, I can be like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying, yeah, the Affleck brothers. That's not.
I couldn't see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But Moose Gal's special though. We love him.
All right, so let's go to the first caller. It's coming from the 443 area code. Caller, you're on the air live with LTMB.
Who this? All right.
Hey, what up, fellas? It's Court.
What's going on, Court, man? Thanks for gracing us with your presence, man.
I know, man. Missed you, brother. Missed you.
How y'all doing, man? I heard y'all was talking about the sociopathic woman.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I wasn't on Reddit.
I was about to say he was on your stomping grounds, man.
I saw this because of an article, but it was about a Reddit post. So I was wondering if you were gonna call in about it.
Well, I didn't see that post because I spend most of my time on our politics. I do go outside and look at other posts, but it's usually just for research. So that is some scary shit. Like, I don't know, like, so not all sociopaths are going to hurt you.
Right.
Yeah. Physically. Not all sociopaths are going to hurt you physically. And I personally believe that the reason why we have sociopaths and psychopaths is because they're necessary for society. Like, it's imperative that we have people that don't feel much or anything, like, to make the kinds of decisions that would just break most of us. It's unfortunate that he has to, make this decision about his daughter. That's very unfortunate because, could work out, might not work out. I mean, love is fickle anyway. There's no, real way. I mean, hell, I don't know if my wife feels for me half the damn time. I don't think she's a sociopath. You know what I mean? Right. But, to think that, I don't think, you don't know if she would hurt him or not like that. But, I mean, it's a valid concern because if you can't feel any emotion whatsoever, it's physically impossible to feel any emotion. But she buried it well. She buried it well. And I guess you're right. Well, because she just can turn it off.
Yeah.
At any time. So she can just turn it off. And, you guys were talking about, how can you have a friend and the friend dies and, she actually builds up, Mike was saying, she builds up like a social repertoire. She builds up her social capital. She understands that you have to interact with humans. She understands that you have to, you have to actually make friends. But then when one of her friends dies, she's like, oh, well, I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. I mean, in the ultimate scheme of things, she's absolutely right. I mean, she is. I mean, in the ultimate scheme of things, is absolutely right. You have friends, you have parents, you have loved ones, whatever, right? They die all the time. Happens to everyone all the time. You could look at it as just an objective thing without actually being, emotionally broken by it. Maybe people would be more stable, but I guess we won't because people are extremely violent. That's just a sticky subject, man. That's just crazy. That dude, I feel for that dude.
I do too, man. It's just he might be in a no-win situation, man, because his daughter doesn't believe that that he would tell him. But it seems like he is, and if he does, the guy is gonna have to say something to her, and she would know it came from her father. And man, I don't envy that position to be in, man. But like I said, I think his choice is clear. If he feels anything for this guy, really, I'm not even sure that he has to have a good relationship with this guy and has to respect him. It's just you're entering into this long-term official pact with another person, and you don't know something about them that could really have an impact on your relationship going into the future. It's just, man, it's not right to leave that out.
I can play devil's advocate on that, though. I think there's plenty of parents that leave out stuff about their kids, whether it's sociopathic violent tendencies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do.
This guy's actually pretty introspective and he's kind of deep. You know what I mean? Because really, a lot of parents you know, they know their kid's fucked up, and you know, like you'll date their kid and they'll like let it go. They won't tell you half the stuff they know about their kid. They don't want to scare you off half the time, especially if it's like a really problem. Like, she doesn't sound like she's a problem child. Like, she doesn't sound like
not at this point.
Like, caused all kinds of issues and like but imagine a parent who's got like a kid who's just a little bit off. You know what I mean? And like the parent's worried about, are they going to find anybody to help them out in life? Parents lie all the time about their job deficiencies and stuff. Yeah. It's not something that I would see as like detrimental to the guy. I mean, I wouldn't see it that way. I mean, I don't even know if I would say something like about it, because you just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to turn out. And you saying something could actually be the trigger for the kind of mental break that would cause her to, to fly off the handle, for lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
For me, it would be more, I mean, if it hasn't evidenced itself to this particular guy, then yeah, if it was just about their particular relationship, okay, maybe not say anything. But you're entering into a marriage where there could be offspring, you could have some kids.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a sociopath and dealing with kids on a regular basis. I can't even imagine.
Well, they have to have dealt with kids before. They pass their genes into the pool, man. I mean, it's like sociopaths have to take care of some kids at some point.
Yeah.
That's like I said, that's
crazy. That's why I'm always so pessimistic, because life is like, people have these ideas about right and wrong and shit, and really it's right and wrong is what you can enforce at the point of a gun, or what you can get away with without anybody catching you, or what you can somehow squirrel away. Very rarely is it based on anything that has people are like, you must have God and religion to have a moral compass. You don't have to have anything to have a moral compass. What you need to have is the ability to beat someone into submission and tell them what to do. That's the moral compass. It's been that way throughout history, forever.
Power.
Yeah.
Control.
Power and control. We kind of briefly talked about that before the show. Me and Will, about like the state of our politics and like how confident we are in it. Will told me he was moving to a particular place, a place you were not at like a few years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't there in 2016. I was very optimistic in 2016, and in 2019, I think it's possible that progress can be made, and I'm definitely pushing for it. I'm in that fight. It's just, seeing human activity continue, getting older and seeing the same things continue on and on again, and then seeing people's reactions to that in the same ways that they always have reacted to it. It just seems like the more things change, the more things stay the same.
Yeah, you're right. I think that that definitely ties into what Court was talking about like people just wanting to side with who's ever in power. So whoever is in power, who is their right, or whoever I voted for, they're right. They have the gun. They have the gun this time, so they have the power to wield and influence people. So that's my guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it does get a little bit it gets a little bit disheartening. It's a little disconcerting. I mean, you look at human intelligence, you look at what it's created on this planet, and you come to the realization that the universe is a tricky place, and it's not necessarily that humans are just a bad species, or humans are, we've done some really great things. It's just, given the environment and the level of violence and the brevity with which you're going to survive as a living organism, it doesn't really help you much to build up a lot of moral capital. If you look at the world from the perspective of most I don't want to say animalistic life because people are animals too. We're just a more advanced animal. But if you look at like less advanced animal life, I mean, it's not about building up moral capital with the rest of the world. Like a lion is going to eat the gazelle. It doesn't care if it's a kid or not. You know what I mean? Like the snake is going to poison whatever is attacking it, and it's going to eat its young or whatever. Moral capital has no real bearing on anything in the universe. And I think that's why it's so hard to get people to do the right thing as a group. I think that's what's so dangerous about civilization in general, because the larger it gets, the harder it is to control. And now it's on the verge of global civilization, and people are so disconnected from each other because there really is no uniform way to say, listen, this is how you do the right thing. And I think, you know, it comes out like this guy says about his daughter, you know, he feels like it would be right for him to tell this guy, hey, listen, my daughter doesn't really feel anything for you, and if you get married to her, it could, you know, your relationship could change. It's not really going to affect her at all. She's just, you know, you're just an object to her. But then on the flip side of that, you know, exactly how many relationships work out, and, you know, who are you to say that your daughter can't maintain her shit and take care of her kids, even though she's a sociopath? Who are you to say that? I mean, she did at least try.
It's a weird comment to make, though. Just to hear it.
Sad,
yeah, no.
Just to hear you say it, that's a weird. Like, who's to say that she can't? You know, even though she can't feel, she can't handle shit and take care of her kids.
Can't keep her shit together.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
because like you said, I think like you said, like kind of. I don't think you explicitly said this, but like all sociopaths aren't created equal.
Yeah.
You didn't explicitly say that, but that's kind of like what it sounds like. And I definitely can agree with that. It's like saying everybody with a mental illness is not created equal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody with like I guess a mental deficiencies aren't created equal. You know what I'm saying? They all have different, they operate at different capacities, so why not sociopaths? You know, it just depends at like how the sociopathy is ingrained or how it's focused. But like you said, there is a chance that she could be able to take care of kids. There's a chance. We just don't know. It's just that the father doesn't know either. And
as a father, he feels some type of responsibility to, I guess, whoever is going to be dealing with her, you know, in that capacity, you know, for life. And I don't like I said, I don't begrudge him for that. It's a very difficult position, and if he makes that decision to tell him, I can't blame him for that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Court, but like, I guess to make the jump that somebody who can't feel emotion, it automatically means that they have no regard for human life. That would be a big jump, would it not?
Well, that would be a big jump because human life isn't just valuable because you steal for it. Human life is also valuable because we can provide for you. You know what I mean? Like, she may not have emotions for her father, but I'm sure if her father died, you know, and she lost all of her standing in life, like say she was still living in his house and he was still paying her bills and stuff like this, she may not feel for him because he died, but she would still feel a loss. You know, it just wouldn't be on an emotional level. It would be on a material level.
I was thinking the same thing. So there is still some sort of recognition there of a loss, even if the emotion is not there.
That's why I was, I was wondering about the whole friend dying thing, because if she really did feel like there was nothing, like, okay, her close friend died and I don't feel anything whatsoever, I'm just pretty neutral about it. It's like, if that's true, that would be concerning, because at the very least you would be like, well, damn, you know, she's not here to talk to me about my problems, or, you know, she's not here to, you know, provide me with anything, you know, that I'm used to.
But see, there's a dilemma. Like, someone who doesn't have emotions probably doesn't have those same kind of problems that we do, that we need to.
You got to look at it too. From like it's. I mean, us speculating what it feels like for a sociopath to lose someone close to them drew us to a place where we said it would be a material loss. It wouldn't be an emotional loss. It'd be a material loss. Now, if you're a girl in high school and you just turned 18, do your friends provide materials for you? I mean, maybe they do in some instances.
In some way.
But But do they actually make sure you have clothes to wear? Do your friends make sure? So it's like, if your friend dies and you spent your time socializing with them and you're a sociopath and they really didn't do, I mean, they talk to you and stuff like that, but you don't really, even when you're talking to them about stuff in your life, you're not feeling anything. I mean, you're going through an exercise really in how to interact with human beings on a daily basis. So,
that person would be there to at least provide you with something. Like I said, it could be that you don't feel some emotional connection with them, but they would be there to whatever. If they're there for you to bounce ideas off of, or for you to get out whatever you need to get out, and then that person's not there anymore, and you feel like nothing about it.
I think Court was trying to say like in general, like we're talking like teenage girls. Yeah, I think that would apply to teenage guys too.
Well, I wonder how old she was at the time.
Like, I think the same thing would apply to teenage guys. Like, how much of your material existence is supplied by your friends or your peers? Like, what you're talking about, you're just saying, like, well, that person may have been there to provide some other material
some type of
benefit.
service.
Like,
but that person was there to provide emotional support, but she's a sociopath.
Okay, so let me give you another scenario. Like, what if? Let me give you another scenario that may probably be a little bit better. Let's say I am diagnosed with what she has, but I like sports. So like objectively, I like sports. Whether there's emotion involved in it or not is inconsequential. If I like sports, I like competition, right? And what if the people I've surrounded myself with offer that competition? That's some sort of material gain, even if there's no emotion like attached to it. Those people go away. I'm going to recognize that I don't have that competition. Yeah, I'm going to recognize that, even though there's not going to be an emotion attached to those people and them being gone. I'm still that to me would count as a material loss.
And that's what look, we don't have the full story with this woman.
Yeah, we're just speculating.
I don't know the full story of how she actually felt about that, close friend dying. I'm just saying, if there was nothing, that would be a concern. If there was nothing, it was like, known this woman for, this woman, whatever, for 5-10 years, my whole life, whatever like that, and she's gone.
So, Court, can you break apart what I said, just maybe if you could detect any flaws in that, in my example?
Well, I mean, as far as where you're going with it, how you're around people who like sports and you like sports. It's like, okay, so define like, is this just I guess it's her way of interacting, right? So your analogy to sports is her way of interacting with her friends. And then all your sports friends, for whatever reason, you can't talk to them anymore. So, but you're a sociopath, so you don't feel anything. I guess you would notice the loss that you don't have people who can show you sports anymore. Maybe you would go through some type of sadness, but see, it's hard to
understand it. It's hard to understand it coming from where we would come from.
It's hard to say you would go through some type of sadness because really, you just find more people who like sports. I guess that would be the ultimate thing. If you were a sociopath, you couldn't really feel any emotion, but you really like sports, and all your friends who like sports moved away or died or whatever. You don't feel anything for them. You know that's a loss, and you go and you try to find more people who are into sports. I mean, I'm sure sociopaths feel stuff because, you have to feel stuff like take a I hate to use an example of a violent sociopath. Well, no, I won't use an example of a violent sociopath. Take an emotion like greed, right? Look at the people who run multinational corporations and stuff like that. Some of those people are sociopaths.
Yeah.
Right?
There's still human emotions like anger and greed and stuff like that. Yeah.
To them, it's like their greed drives their lack of empathy for anyone else. And maybe that's the thing about sociopathy. Maybe we want to think about it like, oh, this person's emotions are just blanked out. Maybe it's not that their emotions are just blanked out. Maybe what it is they can selectively turn off emotions that would make your hair curl if you turned them off.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at a sociopathic multinational CEO, right? He's like, all right, I'm gonna poison these people's water so I can get an extra 50 cents per gallon when I sell them the bottled water that I stole from them last year, right? Or some shit like this. Like, you would feel awful. Like, you would feel awful about it. But this person is like, it's just people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to turn it off, and I don't care. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I don't give a shit about any of them. Maybe that's what sociopathy is. It's not like a complete lack of emotion. It's just the ability to turn emotions on and off without any consequence psychologically.
Yeah. I guess it's difficult for us to really ponder it or really put ourselves in their positions, in their shoes.
It's funny, like, since we were talking about like Kim Kardashian, that sent us into a conversation about me not being affected by like what other people were trying to influence me by and trying to influence certain emotions and invoke certain emotions within me. To me, I think these conversations are tied together, especially what Court just mentioned about being able to cut certain things on and off. I do think, for the most part, like those of us who are not diagnosed with what she has can do that. She just probably has an extreme case because there's sometimes
consciously.
Oh yeah, I think so.
But the way you feel about Kim Kardashian, I don't think you consciously turned it off.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about. I'm just saying, like, I just mentioned that because it kind of segued into talking about when the opposite sex, for me, tried to influence and tried to invoke certain emotions, and they weren't there. That are there to invoke, but they weren't invoked then because I was like, no, you're not going to invoke that out of me because you're manipulative. I don't care how cute you are. So I do think we do have the ability as humans to like to turn certain things on and off based on certain situations. You know what I'm saying? There's emotions that I am capable of, but if someone's trying to induce those or invoke those in a manipulative way, I might be like, okay, keep going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
All right, Court. This has been a very I think a very good conversation, man.
Yeah.
I like the points that you brought up, and that's the reason we talked about this article, not the article, really about the post of this father, because there's a lot of different ways to see it, ways to support what he is going to do, what it looks like he's going to do, or maybe not going to do. So, but we appreciate you calling in and talking with us about it, man.
Yeah, for real.
Hey, fellas, I appreciate y'all taking my call. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you do the same, Court.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, man. Court, he fills in the gaps that we leave, man, and kind of brings a new...
And he plays the devil's advocate.
He brings a new angle to things, man, that maybe we weren't looking at. So.
All right, so we're going to go to 253 area code. You're on the line with LTMB.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan, Montana.
What's going on, Jordan? Good to hear from you.
Jordan.
Yeah, man. I was going to say some things about the last caller. He expressed some libertarian sentiments there, but honestly, I don't think that conversation will go any further.
Libertarian sentiments, how? No, seriously, man. Libertarian sentiments, how? Because how does that connect to that situation? Because now you're kind of like...
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess since I said that, I should elaborate. I guess just like the lion eats the gazelle stuff, and I don't know, it's hard to.
But isn't that kind of like, I don't think that's necessarily. I guess he's putting it out there to kind of give credence to such an environment or a system, but isn't that kind of what we do live in now?
Like the reality of it.
The reality of it now, like it is kind of a survivalist mentality. It is like predator and prey mentality, even with us, because we are animals in a sense.
Yeah, not to tout it, but
not to tout it.
Kind of
I would
acknowledge
it. Yeah, I would say in nature, but like in society, I think it's a little more complicated than that. But yeah, I guess to an extent.
All right, man. What's on your mind, man? What else is on your mind? Because you usually have a list, right? You've got a list.
Yeah, no, I was about to say I do have a list. I'm always going to have a list. So first I put left-right dichotomy, and I think I put that because I think people need to understand that that's too simple. Like there's more than two sides, and it's not just like Democrats versus Republicans, and
No,
I think that's the only reason I put that.
No, yeah, we definitely agree with that because what is characterized as the left is probably not really left, you know. So
Right.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of different sides. There's not just two schools of thought or anything like that. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the only reason I put that. So next I had death panels, because you guys brought that up with private health insurance, or Republican strawmanning saying that public health insurance is death panels.
Right.
And I think the only point I wanted to make on that is that private health insurance is more of a death panel than public, and that it's incentivized by the profit motive to deny you care.
Right. Yeah.
No, I gotta agree because like there's the private insurance model that we have now already makes life or death decisions
all the time.
Because that's like the talking point that you pointed out that they like to make. Oh, the government is going to be making life or death decisions. Oh, it's government-run healthcare, and I'm just
they're
like,
in place to do that right now.
And I was like,
they withhold medications and procedures all the time.
Yeah, they distort what a Medicare for All system would look like. It's not like the current health practitioners and those who practice medicine or healthcare are going to go away. They're going to remain in place. They're going to be making healthcare decisions. What goes away is what, Will? The insurance companies. Yeah. So we won't have government-run healthcare. It's more like government-run or government-managed insurance.
Right.
You're just replacing the insurance companies. You're not replacing healthcare providers.
And there is already such a thing as government-run healthcare.
Exactly.
It's just that not all of us have it.
Exactly. It's not all of us have it.
Yeah.
So it's like
politicians do.
Politicians do.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make about that, And okay, so next I had impeachment, and I think I put that because I just wanted to say that there's people who are against doing impeachment for like strategy, that they think that if we try to impeach Trump, that it's going to make him win because of Bill Clinton or whatever. But my point on that is it opens up investigations, and it's the right thing to do, irregardless of political positioning.
Okay, so basically, regardless of the political outcome or consequences, it should be something that takes place because it would be transparent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not even capitulating that would be the result, just because historically that's been the case. It could be a negative thing for him, but that's not the point. There's institutions, and it's the right thing to do.
So your point is that there's enough that's out there to warrant those proceedings from starting.
Yeah, because impeachment doesn't mean you just we're going to remove him. It just starts the proceedings, and you open investigations. It's and with the evidence that we have, it's you're doing a disservice to the institutions if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Look, I'm kind of, I haven't put myself in a solidified position here. If it is attempted right now, or if they actually do go forward with impeachment right now, tomorrow they announce it, I'm not going to be sitting there saying, oh no, they shouldn't do it. I'll be like, yeah, it makes sense. If they wait until they have more to go on and then they do it, then I'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah, they should do it.
I think that's it.
Go
ahead, man, go ahead.
Yeah, but opening impeachment proceedings opens up the investigation. So if with what we have now, if you're asking for more, starting the impeachment proceedings is what gets you more, and that's not even the point. The point is that that's what you're supposed to do in a situation like this. And if you're going to create precedent of not doing the right thing, then it's just going to create problems.
Yeah, you're right. It does look as if there's kind of obstruction going on at each level, because I think for the most part the hearing that Mnuchin had to attend, I guess about a month ago, that got a lot of attention. The interaction between him and Waters got a lot of attention. He came back.
Yeah.
he actually came back.
Right.
And people should actually go look at probably the main dialogue. You can probably just do a Google search or look it up, and most of the main dialogue will come up. But, you know, what the panel was trying to, you know, tell Mnuchin was like, yo, you don't have any legal grounds here. Like, so can you, sitting here in front of this committee, can you tell us what legal grounds you have and what justifies your position in instructing the IRS not to hand over Donald Trump's taxes? And he did not have one. And again, I can't remember who this was, but she basically told him, he's like, you might want to seek counsel because you're literally in violation of the Constitution. Like, so you might, well, he's like, I can't remember her exact words, but she's like, I'm giving you some advice here. It's like, you do not want to die on this hill.
Right.
Like, you might want to seek counsel yourself because right now you're in violation of the law.
And look, you're making like that point is well taken, and Jordan, as well as you're saying that by not doing something right now with what is already obtained, what we already know, it would set a precedent that a president, you know, the executive branch, they could just get away with whatever. And I mean, you don't want to set that precedent. So, you know, the Republican representative, Amash, he basically has said the same thing, that there is enough here to warrant going forward with an impeachment. So, I mean, look, I agree. It's just, like I said, I'm not, look, if they believe, like Nancy Pelosi, it seems like she wants to take a little bit more time. I don't, you know, I can imagine that she is concerned about the races in 2020, the presidential race, congressional races. I'm certain that she cares about that as well and what it might mean for those races. You know, and that might be number one priority on her mind, and why she's not doing it right now. She might want more evidence, I guess, for the American people. But it's kind of like...
but then, like Jordan said,
yeah,
kind of opening up impeachment proceedings might garner more evidence.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
There's like the scale is always constantly going up and down here.
There's enough there to do it now. I agree with that. I guess the question is it, I guess, in the eyes of the public, is it the best thing to do it now or not? I don't know.
And I think I am where you are, and maybe that has to do with like how we see our government and what we see it as being in this current state, regardless of what happens with Trump. Right. So I think it's like we're like, either way, because we're like, we understand that there's definitely other work to do. Right. You see what I'm saying? It's not like we're in the clear all of a sudden because there's like a criminal that, you know, is in office and needs to be out. I think maybe it's not as much, we're not invested in it as much because we still have like so much ground to cover. And so much issues that are not going to be solved just because Trump is not there.
Yeah, I think that my biggest concern on impeachment is that it's going to suck up all the air in the room, and then we're not going to, like, for the election, we're not going to be able to talk about healthcare as much, which is what we need to talk about the most, and foreign policy and stuff like that. But I think either way, it's the correct thing to do, so we should just do it. And then personally, you guys brought up Nancy Pelosi, and I don't trust her. Like,
I mean, for
as
good
far
reason.
as we could throw her, you know.
No, I don't either, because like what we need to understand about her is she has class interests. You know what I'm saying? Governing some of the moves she makes, and people just need to be hyper conscious about that. She has class consciousness.
Yeah. Okay, so I had two more things on the list. I put global warming in all caps, but I think I'm going to skip that and just say that it's important, so fucking pay attention.
Right.
And then, the last thing I had was I put labor movement, and I think that has relevance to something I was talking to one of my coworkers today about, is that, like, I feel like the American people have betrayed the millions of people who stood up and protested and made the labor movement a thing coming out of the Great Depression in the 20s. And, you know, because we had 50% of our labor force unionized, and I was driving up wages and stuff, and then Reagan comes in and just fucks it, and then just nobody cares, man. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Man, I can't add a lot.
I think it's the same reason why nobody cares now, and I think that is the reality that I guess me being more engaged in politics, like kind of brought me to. Like that's the reality I kind of recognize now. Just me inserting myself into politics more. I'm just like, man, you know, Jordan mentioned Reagan, and then you know, driving down the effectiveness the American worker had to negotiate, you know, with their employer, fair wages, kind of destabilizing unions, all that stuff. And like Jordan said, most people don't care. Like I think that's an honest look, you know, looking at it. Just because we care, Jordan, just because people in our circle care, your circle care, that doesn't mean the majority of Americans actually think there's a problem. And I think, like you said, team politics.
Yeah.
I think that's why people don't care. It's like, I'm just like, hey, we're just in it for our party to win this election. That's the cycle we're on.
Yeah, I mean, you will hear the same thing from both sides of the aisle, you know, 8 sides of the aisle, you know, whatever. Like you'd hear the same kind of complaints from everybody, no matter where you are. You know, better pay. You know, better health care. You know, I mean, you would hear the same thing, you know, addressing taxes, you know, foreign policy, you know, criminal justice. You would hear the same things no matter where you are, and everybody really does want some movement on it. But whatever their perspective is kind of going to be based on who they support and what political party they support. So I agree with you. You know, we, as a people, we're not doing the right thing.
Yeah. I guess last thing I want to say is that I kind of shit on the last caller about libertarian sentiments, but I do want to say that I have a lot of libertarian sentiments of, you know, myself to do with like social issues. So, you know, solidarity, bro. It's all good.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you calling in once again, Jordan, man. Good to hear from you.
All right.
Yeah, you guys have a good weekend. See you.
All right, you do the same, man. All right, so I think we're going to be able to take one more caller. It's coming from 218 area code. You are on the air live with LTMB.
Hello?
Yes, who's this?
Hi, this is Christopher from Minnesota.
Christopher, Minnesota. All right, how you doing tonight?
Good. I love your guys' commentary. I'm kind of new to the room. Sharing Formation told me about you guys. I just have a couple of things. I want to make it quick. I know you guys are limited on time. But I saw a thing with AOC and Warren today talking about, I think it was Biden's Green New Deal, or no, it was about Sears and how, you know, the CEOs and the Mnuchin was behind it, and they did this, you know, filed for bankruptcy and like resold the company and real estate, and then did stock buybacks, and then they laid off something like 1 million workers and 35,000 stores across the nation. And so AOC and Elizabeth Warren were sitting together in an interview talking about all this, and it was great. And so I'm just kind of wondering that, you know, AOC endorsed Bernie, you know, Elizabeth Warren did not endorse Bernie. And it just seems like there's this trifecta of progressive, AOC, Warren, and Tulsi Gabbard, and then there's Bernie. And I'm just wondering what your guys' opinion. I have this theory that maybe they're talking all behind closed doors. I mean, they're all very smart, and I'm just wondering if they're trying to overcome the establishment together, where once the debates happen and getting ready for this primary, that they all might be working together to get Bernie in the White House, and then they'll be part of his administration and endorse him to make sure he wins and beats Trump. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, it's possible, I guess. Look, I mean, to think that it could be a plan to, I guess, counteract what I guess you could say like the establishment plan is, and what the establishment plan seems to be is like overload this Democratic field with a lot of establishment candidates, moderate, center-right candidates, Democratic candidates, and less airtime for your progressives, and less airtime for Bernie or Tulsi or Elizabeth Warren. So I mean, it's possible. I mean, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, so I mean, it's possible.
I don't think that's such a far-fetched idea, considering that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren met kind of in the early goings of this campaign trail. Yeah. So they met with one another. So we already know that. Yeah. What other reason would they be meeting for? Yeah. Like, you see what I'm saying? To kind of like set up this kind of strategy. And it would make sense that AOC would endorse Bernie because AOC is not running for president. Yeah. It would just look weird if Elizabeth Warren, a presidential candidate herself, endorsing another presidential candidate. Yeah. I think that would definitely come later. But no, Go ahead.
You got about a minute left.
Yeah, you got a minute, so that's why I'm letting you know. Go ahead.
Well, if Warren and Bernie met together and they talked behind closed doors, well, I also heard that Tulsi met with Bernie behind closed doors too. So, and they realize they're down on the polls. So if they get on the debate stage, they say their case, and push Bernie farther to the left, and then they step down, and then they endorse him, and then he picks one of them for VP and says, Elizabeth Warren's going to be Secretary of Treasury, whatever. So that's what I'm getting at there.
I feel you. Then kind of he picks up some of those Warren voters, and most likely Tulsi voters too, because there's no way people who support Tulsi now would.
Exactly, and pretty much they all came from
Bernie Sanders anyway.
Right.
So no, I can definitely see that being a scenario that applies to this situation that we're viewing right now. That's not far-fetched.
If they're true progressives, they will step down and fight with Bernie. So.
Okay.
Damn.
All right. So that was all we had.
Let's go. I think we got the gist of what Christopher was trying to say. So thank you, Christopher.
Yeah, I think that was the first time.
We really haven't talked about that either.
No.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Shout out to Sharon Formation too for bringing more people into the stream. Thank you for calling, Christopher. Yeah, I mean, look, the whole notion about like if they're progressive, then they would, I guess if it looks like Bernie Sanders, if it looks like they're not in a position to attain the nomination, then of course they're going to step down. And then after that, the good thing to do as a progressive, the right thing to do as a progressive would be to back the progressive that you want to see as the nominee. The only problem, well, not the problem, but Elizabeth Warren, that wasn't the thing that was done in 2016. So, there's not a Hillary Clinton in the race, for 2020. It's still a wonder. I mean, like, okay, is she gonna do the right thing? If it comes to that point,
here's the dilemma she would have. Is that in 2016 she wasn't running.
No, wasn't.
So she was kind of like in the background. We knew about her. We knew about who she was. She was kind of in the background.
But she had a lot of support, man.
She had a lot of support. Now, she wasn't really laying anything on the line because again she wasn't running. In this case she is laying a lot out on the line. She's kind of developing I don't know, she's developing a caricature of herself during this cycle. She's developing a profile for everyone else to see. Right. And so you can't erase that profile. You can't just if a scenario comes where it's just like Bernie and Biden, it just would look weird to endorse Biden because she set up this profile, right, that matches up with Bernie's. So again, she wasn't running in 2016, so she didn't have all that baggage. I'm using the word baggage in a general sense. It's things that you create, things that you're carrying around. In this case, she's carrying around baggage like college assistance, Medicare for all, consumer protection. There was something else she unveiled.
Maybe Medicare for all.
Medicare for all. Yeah, maybe. But like she's been unrolling all kind of things.
Right.
And so she's carrying that baggage throughout the campaign. It would just look weird for her to endorse anyone else but Bernie.
But it's possible, it's at least feasible that she would again sit on the sidelines until there is, somebody that is going to become
nominee.
Yes.
And I think the fear that I have,
then she would just endorse that person.
The fear that I have is I'm looking at like how support is going to be funneled to figures that are, we would call moderate to centrist. And once O'Rourke drops off, once Buttigieg jumps off, once maybe Kamala Harris, I'm assuming that support is not going to be funneled to Bernie.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if you're supporting Kamala Harris, like
over Bernie, if you're supporting Harris over Bernie,
and then what if one of the ones that drop off end up teaming up with the main candidate?
Right.
I'm just going to suspect that those supporters will kind of come together. The supporters of both of those people. That's kind of what I'm afraid of, because I just don't understand. I see this like constant Warren to Kamala Harris jump. When people say, "Oh, Warren is my first choice, Kamala Harris is my second," and I'm just like, how do you go from Warren to Kamala Harris? And I was like, well, I've seen Warren, Kamala Harris, and Booker, and I'm like, how? Like, how are you making these jumps? I've seen people like present like, oh, it's got to have an all-woman ticket, like Warren and Harris. I'm like, how are those two people even remotely?
Why don't you just say Warren and Klobuchar then?
I'm like,
all-woman ticket.
Why are you jumping? I'm like, it just seems like people are going out of their way to avoid Bernie. It just is weird. It's weird.
There's a comment, progressives need to stick together. Definitely. See, look, I've said this before, man. Progressives, it's a small community. To think that like progressives hold like the power is, you're not being real at all. That's not the current state of affairs. So yes, if Warren is a progressive and Tulsi is progressive and Bernie's a progressive, whichever one of them, I guess is the closest. We don't know. See, look at this point. We're still at the very beginning stages of election 2020. So we don't know what is going to be the first point when people start dropping out. What is going to be that first point? We don't know if it's going to be later on this year. We don't know if it's going to be after the first debate. We don't know if it's going to be closer to the first caucus in Iowa. I have no idea when people are going to start dropping out, and how much polls are going to be, I guess, conveying to people like who's a viable candidate, and we have no idea what polls are going to say. 6 months from now? So,
yeah, because everybody was jumping on the recent Iowa poll, showing that Biden almost has no support. Right. And I was like, I didn't want to like kind of exaggerate that information too much and be like, oh, see, that's proof right there.
Nah,
I was like, it's Iowa,
it's a poll, and we're over 6 months out. We're over 6 months out. It really doesn't mean much at all at this point.
We have to...
No first debate yet.
Unfortunately, it's going to be... Even with all the debates, like, in the background, and all the debates have passed, it's almost like we really don't know how, how viable anyone is until primaries.
That's true.
We truly don't know how much support someone has until there's like actual people casting ballots and voting, and we just don't. Like you said, polls. We can talk about how polls have been manipulated, which they have, especially on Biden's favor, like only polling like
older people,
50 people that make a certain amount. I'm like, obviously that's going to make Biden look better, but like, go ahead, what you got to say?
Well, the one thing that we really can't assess right now is what are going to be what's going to be the basis of who is going to be allowed in the debates coming after this first one.
Oh, because of how many candidates are have entered on the Democratic side. It's like 23.
Yeah. So right now, I believe only 20 can be in there. We we don't know which 20.
We don't know which 20.
Yeah.
And then as the debate schedule kind of
are there going to be new?
Are there going to be new rules?
Yeah,
that apply,
new
like
lines. Hey, you got to meet this. You got to meet this. Like, are they going to? Is the party going to dwindle it down? Not the people, but is the party going to dwindle it down?
That's a good idea.
You know, so we don't even know that as of right now. So it's just way too premature to talk about it. But yes, it is right that progressives have to stick together. If we want progressive policies enacted, then we have to stick together because we don't have power, like, standalone power to which, this person can be over here. And no. Kamala Harris, somebody like Kamala Harris, yeah, man, like she doesn't, it's not like she has to call for the other candidates, their supporters, like to stand with her. I mean, that's just going to automatically happen.
And we're talking about 2020. I think I'm going to parrot a concern that Jordan had, even though he was like impeachment will be good, but even he kind of expressed his fear that would suck all the energy out of dealing with actual issues during the campaign. I have that fear too.
I could see that.
You see what I'm saying? Because if we're talking about the midterms, I guess the issue that got a lot of progressive Democrats elected was health care. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think they could take their foot off that gas. But like Jordan said, any kind of impeachment hearings may just suck the air out of all that, and we may lose focus. That's definitely what I'm afraid of, and I honestly think that it would not be in service to actual leftist policies. It would be more in service to maybe a candidate like Biden if everything and all the attention was directed at taking Trump out and he's a bad man and he's evil. I just don't like all the attention being directed to that shit.
If there was significantly more that came out from an investigation, from this, these subpoenas, and even if an impeachment is launched, if there's significantly more damaging information about Trump that is revealed, it may not be so bad. But if we're staying right here where there's really no more to be found or no more to be gained, and that persists for a long period of time, and that persists, damn near until the election in 2020, that could have a negative impact on the Democratic candidates.
Yeah, and it's probably all a matter of how the media covers it too, because regardless of what the Democrats are actually focused on, it really matters more about what the media focuses on.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
Because all this stuff about Trump has been going on since he got into office, but yet the Democrats have been, they worked hard during the midterms to get some of the people elected and flip the House. So they have shown they can do two things at once. Right. But I do think, if you're talking about impeachment, that's on another level. That's on another level. And if we're talking about the Mueller investigation, that was done more, I would say, undercover. He was kind of closed-lipped, so there wasn't really a lot to say unless something came down the pipe.
Right.
So it didn't give, there wasn't a lot of stuff to focus on. You know what I'm saying? Rachel Maddow kind of had to project a lot into it to keep the focus on it. But for the most part, Mueller wasn't telling anybody shit.
Nah.
So yeah, it was easier for Democrats as the opposition party to focus on issues because they had nothing to interject as far as the investigation because they weren't involved in it. So it was easy for them to run on issues and focus on issues that whole time, which for the most part they were. But
with an impeachment, that's going to be a leading story daily.
Exactly. So that gives kind of credence to Jordan's apprehensions.
Right. Man, I don't know, man. But there's no way to predict what's going to happen. This is May. End of May 2019. We still have a long way to go into that first caucus, first primary. Man, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
No, definitely, I do suspect, some sort of poll buffering. I think we highlighted Rachel Maddow's poll buffering in a couple weeks ago, where she kind of misrepresented a open secrets poll and then informed her audience that the sample size kind of was of a certain demographic, and definitely affected the results of the poll. And she did not let her her viewers know that. So we already know there's some poll buffering going on in the media. They've done it with Biden, on behalf of Biden and on behalf of your more corporatist candidates. And they are working hard to make Bernie Sanders look like he has no support, which we know that to be not true considering the amount of individual donors we have. So that his liquid followers, actual followers, not cash, a better representation early on of who has more support. And it does look like Bernie does. He does. But again,
because see, look, what did they try to do at the beginning? In 2015, there was the whole Bernie blackout, right? Yeah. Until he started actually winning caucuses and primaries, and then they had no choice but to cover him. So they can't do that at this go around. They can't just like begin with like, hey, Bernie is not in the race. We have nothing to say about him. No, they're going to talk about him, but the way they talk about him has to be in a certain way. He's behind. He's not the front runner. No, Biden is. So we're going to talk more about Biden, and we're going to say Bernie, yeah, it doesn't look like he has much support this go around. So the only thing that's going to change that really, primary season. That's the only thing that's going to really change that.
Yo, man, it's like, it just, first of all, like, I really, I don't have no sympathy for, a figure like Biden. I almost have more contempt for Biden than I do for Hillary Clinton. I know that sounds weird, but, if you look at how Biden has reacted to his criticism, he's been very dismissive. He actually doesn't regret any of the decisions that he made, even though people have pointed out how much damage those decisions, resulted in. So
essentially, he's laughing in the face.
He's laughing in the face. He laughs in the face of all criticism, no matter what it is, even no matter how egregious, his decisions are. And so it's like I'm almost, unsympathetic to somebody like him, and I do want to see him fall flat on his face because it's like, number one, I see him in controlled environments and see him fucking up. He's been in controlled environments and been fucking up bad. Like interviews where there's no crowd, he's in full control of it. It's very, Biden friendly, I would say. He's giving softballs to hit, and he's been fucking up. So it's like, I'm really waiting to see somebody challenge his ass in a debate because he just looks bad now, and he's been kind of insulated.
I think we've said that before, though, on another program that, if you really think about it, Biden might be a little bit worse than Hillary Clinton, man. I think we've said that on another program before. And you just go into his past, man.
Yeah.
You go into his voting record. The things that he has championed, the bills that he has authored.
Like again, anytime he's asked about it, he always is like, hey, I'm not ashamed of anything I did. I don't regret anything I did. Right. Even when it came to like his, comments about integration.
Right.
His response to that was, hey, why should I have to pay for something that happened 300 years ago? I'm like, whoa.
Really? If the only two choices were, and I'm talking about the only two choices, okay? I'm not talking about that there's a Green Party individual. No, only two choices were on the leftist of sides. You know what I'm saying? Like on that side. If your only two choices were Hillary and Biden,
I'll kill myself. Y'all wouldn't see me, dog. I'd be like, man, November 8th, man, I got kidnapped, yo. I got straight kidnapped on the whole day. It's like, why didn't you early vote? Somebody stole my provisional ballot, man. I'll make up something. I'm doing something. I'm doing something drastic. I'm kidnapping myself or getting kidnapped.
A lot of people say, hey, look, man, Hillary Clinton's a Republican anyway.
That was his profile.
That's
like Steve King.
He showed
Ted
up
Cruz
on stage, man.
Carrying water for this dude.
I don't know if we're still being seen or what, but I know the YouTube on our end is out. Can't see the stream.
Yeah, it's a stream gone.
I don't know why, since we got green.
Yeah, we got green over here.
Oh, there's a spider in there? Look at that. We should go into one of them damn lights. Shit, man.
Can you still comment though?
No, it seems like it got to be a problem with YouTube though, because like that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. Touch one of the lights. See, it got to be a problem with the internet or something. It can't be a problem with this. This is green. Can't be a problem with that.
But why would it be indicating that it's green? Wouldn't it like it would reflect? Wouldn't it be like reflect the issue going on with the internet?
I don't know what's going on.
Start talking about Biden, dog.
See, it says they're back. So
we ain't back, dog.
We must have been back for like a second.
We must have been back for a second, but yeah, we're not back. Well, it doesn't show that we're back, and the clock ain't running. So you might want to. Oh, it's about to refresh. It refreshed on its own. I don't think you did that. Oh, never mind. It's still offline.
Wonder if we're still on Twitter.
So yeah, we're yeah, man. So if y'all can hear us or see us,
no, see. So it's YouTube.
So because it's definitely YouTube.
We are. See,
yeah.
I'm seeing myself on the phone.
That's whack, YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, look. Hey, right there.
What?
So we're back on YouTube now. I don't understand. That was a problem with YouTube. Clearly, was not the software, wasn't Restream, wasn't any of that. It was YouTube.
Because it was still green.
Yes.
It was still green. Not only was it green, the streams were active on the other platforms. The streams were active on the other platforms. So YouTube fucking up.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, man.
So yeah, that was YouTube. Twitch was working. Periscope Live was working. Yeah. YouTube busting it all up.
Start talking about Biden.
Yeah.
We were talking about Biden too much, so somebody had to cut the cord.
I'm saying.
That's my conspiracy theory talk right there.
Talk
you know what I'm saying? That's my conspiracy talk. Talking about Biden had to cut that cord, man.
We were about to wrap this up anyway.
Yeah, we about to wrap it up anyway. So,
but we want to, thank everybody for joining us on this program tonight. Wasn't too long, just over 3 hours. Lot to talk about that meltdown that Trump had, if you can even call it a meltdown, because I think it was a planned meltdown.
Yeah, it was definitely a planned meltdown because they that's all they have left. Okay, we have to find a way to spin this. We got to gaslight them some way.
But definitely want to shout out again our callers tonight, and that's Court, Jordan, and Christopher. I believe first time caller Christopher. Thank you for calling in and providing us with some good questions, some good commentary. In the super chat, we have Maddie Perry, who has advice. You two should talk with Jordan Sheridan from Status Quo and former TYT reporter. We know who Jordan is.
Yeah, man, we know who Jordan is. He's back. He back doing his thing.
Right, he's back. Yeah, with Status Quo. Yeah, we seen him.
I like that catchy.
That's
real catchy too, man. Status Quo, man.
Yeah, Status Quo.
I like that.
Also, Christopher. Christopher from Minnesota that called. Also in the super chat said, "Love you guys. Keep up the good conversations. Thank you for taking my call." Thanks for calling in, man. We hope to hear from you again, because it was, like I said, we love the conversation. We love to hear input from our viewers. Again, just keep it coming. If you have input, if you have a question or comment, please feel free to call in and be heard. Special shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com. Thank you for being that lifeblood for LTMB each and every month. We appreciate it. I think that's all I got. Weekend's coming up. Don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. Isn't there? Well, no, there's a game.
There's a game tonight.
There's a game tonight.
NBA, Toronto and Milwaukee.
Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm interested in how Drake is getting a whole lot of anger from Milwaukee.
And see, here's my thing on that. I'm not a fan of any team right now that's in there.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I don't want to see Drake anymore. That's really what's like, because I have to find something. Since I don't really like any of these teams. Like, I don't dislike them, but I'm just not a fan of them.
Yeah.
I got to find something that bothers me. And only thing that bothers me right now
Is Drake.
Is Drake. I don't want to see Drake's face anymore. His antics, he seems so whack to me.
Well, I do believe.
So I'm like, please, Milwaukee, can you beat this Toronto team? I'm like, I like Kawhi Leonard, but my dislike for Drake overrides that.
I think
I always wanted to see Kawhi do something, but man.
I think just from, if you're talking about an objective basketball standpoint, I think it would be a more competitive matchup if Milwaukee wins with Golden State. I think with Toronto, I don't see Golden State having a problem with them. Even if Kevin Durant doesn't return, I just don't see them having a problem with them. But
you got Bledsoe, who is on the first team defense or something?
Right. That's right. First team defense, you have, Antetokounmpo as well.
Giannis.
Yeah, Chris Middleton, shooter. I mean, they have a much deeper roster.
A much deeper roster. They'd be a better matchup.
And then the news came out today, too, that it doesn't look like KD or Boogie is going to be available for, like, the beginning of the series. So it's going to be Stephen Clay and Draymond. And so, with Milwaukee, I think it'd be a very competitive series. With Toronto,
the thing is, in order for Toronto to even win close, number one, Kawhi has to go off, and then everybody else has to contribute. And I don't trust doggone Lowry. Oh, my God.
You can't
trust Lowry.
No, you can't.
Dog. I just don't trust him, man.
L Train said, I want to see Steph Curry versus Drake. They're going to have a Reggie Miller and Spike Lee moment.
Wow. No, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't need a Spike Lee because that's all he's going to do is fuel the other team.
Yeah.
That's all Drake does.
True. Because look, especially something like Steph. If you get him going, he responds, man.
I think
and he plays off the crowd a lot too, man.
I think Steph Curry is going to win that light skin war. And Curry will win that light skin war. I'm sorry, and he will get the best of Drizzy.
Yeah.
He will get the best of Drizzy. I'm sorry, but I just don't want to see Drake because again, all he's going to do is provide gas and steam for Golden State. He'll do what Spike Lee did for Jordan and Pippen. Have you ever heard them talk about that? They basically said, "Yo,
fuel, man."
That was that was extra for them. They lived. I think even Reggie Miller talks about that a lot too.
Yeah,
he said, "I used to live."
He used to talk to him.
I used to live for that moment, and I was like, he's like, sometimes it was more competitive for me to do that than it was for me to engage with players,
right?
Because the cameras were always on Spike. And he was antics, talking shit right courtside. He said he would always love to just shut Spike Lee up.
Get at him, man.
And get at him.
Nah, yeah. I think that would be child's play for somebody like Steph, I think. So, anyways, though, I still see Golden State winning it all, though. I still see.
Yeah, unfortunately.
See, I like Golden State, so I don't have a problem with that.
I'm not a bandwagon hater. Yeah. But I'm not a fan either.
See, I became a fan because I liked the way the team grew. Because that team came from absolutely nothing. Even before Steph was there and Clay was there, you had guys like Monte Ellis, you had Baron Davis, and you remember they took out the number one seed, Dallas.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so I liked them back then. But then when Steph, was growing, and then Clay came, Draymond, I mean, they really built
the team
from nothing. So I like that they stunk for many, many years. I remember when I think it was a ceremony they were having for Chris Mullins at halftime of a game. And the owner was speaking. I think it was Lacob or Jacob. I forgot his name. But he was speaking and the crowd was booing ferociously. They wouldn't let him have a word. Chris Mullins had to step in and be like, hey, everybody, yo, look, I believe in these guys. They're going to take our team, to the promised land and this and that. You just got to believe there's a plan, because this was after they traded Monte Ellis. So fans were crazy, man. Fans was real mad. And so like I said, I just have seen, the progression of them, and now they're to this point where they're a very good team, a dynasty.
I remember growing up and Golden State was always bottom of the barrel.
Gosh,
trash,
sucked.
Garbage. I remember
garbage.
Even that's the team that I avoided playing with on NBA Live. NBA Live, I'm like, oh. Or I looked forward to playing.
Yeah.
Golden State, stats.
Outside of Run TMC, you remember that?
Yeah.
Outside of that, past that time, they have been pure trash. And then, like I said, once they started building with Steph and then Clay and Draymond, they really built themselves a franchise, man. So, like I said, I just like, the way they have built it. So, and I've always liked Kevin Durant, too. So he came to the team, and, I can root for him. I've never really been a Boogie Cousins fan.
Nah, me neither.
Not really been a fan. I like the way he's conducted himself with Golden State, though, because he did have a rough around the edges type of persona, somebody that was like a team killer. So, I think he's done himself well this season and just, how he's behaved. But he did have that another injury, so he's not going to get a max contract in the offseason. So I wonder what he will do. But anyway, that's us. That's LTMB Sports for you. We could go on and on some sports. We could go on and on. We've toyed with the idea of a LTMB sports platform as well, so we just don't have that time. But anyway, that's what's going on this weekend. Hope everybody has a good weekend. Let me just peruse through these comments, see if there's anything we should go. Moose Guy's asking, would you be interested in getting Shahid Buttar on your channel for an interview? He's Pelosi's primary challenger. I volunteered for his campaign with his virtual tweet team. Okay. That's not something that we would be opposed to. Let's see. Christopher said, basketball's not my thing. Hey, we baseball, football. Those are the three that I, keep an eye on, all the time. Those are the three: football, baseball, basketball. Carne Verde said, Run TMC in the early 90s was the best we had for 40 years. Yep. That was it, man. And then after that, man, after Tim Hardaway left, after that, they were
garbage.
Trash, man. Oh, my gosh, man. Sharon saying, have a great weekend. You have a great weekend as well. Remember to post No More Wars. Oh, yeah, Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. I wouldn't even know that. I've been hearing about it, but it just didn't stick in my head. Yeah, that is Memorial Day weekend. That is right. Yeah, we just read it, Moose Gal. Yeah, we wouldn't be opposed to that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We need to have more interviews. Thoughts on Tiger Woods? I have no thoughts on Tiger Woods. Nope. Don't even. Nope.
Yeah, why? Who is he?
Exactly.
Who is he? He plays golf.
Yeah.
No. He has no impact on my life.
No thoughts on Tiger Woods.
No thoughts. He doesn't stand up for anything, really.
Yeah.
So, he doesn't stand for much.
L-Train, thoughts on Juwan Howard being new coach for Michigan? That's interesting. That is interesting. Full circle, man. That is very interesting. I saw Jalen Rose talking and saying that move alone is going to bring the Fab Five back together. He said that, him and Chris Webber, it's going to repair that relationship. It's going to... I don't know.
I don't know about... I think that's smug living.
That's a lofty expectation.
That's definitely a lofty expectation. I don't know if you could kind of interject all that into this. But,
it would be... Look, if anything, it would be this. To bring them back together. If anything. Because, hey, they're going to want to come back, and support their guy. Fab Five member. So it's possible. Wish them luck. But, man, that relationship has gone to
It has been, simmering for a long time.
A very long time.
On the wrong side of the pot.
Whew. I don't know about that, man. But, yeah, I do. This will be Juwan Howard's first gig as a coach, as a head coach, anywhere, I think. He's been an assistant for a while.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But as a head coach, I think...
Was he assistant in Miami?
Yeah, for a while. He's been with Miami for a really long time, since his playing days. So... I'm rooting for him. Juwan Howard, man, good people, man. I don't know.
At what point was he an assistant and he was listed as a player?
I think so.
Yeah.
So like I said, he's been with that franchise for a very long time, but you never know. But like I said, he seems like he's an all right dude. He seems like he has just in a basketball sense. He seems like he would be able to command a team. Seems like he would be. You never know though. You never know. All right, man. L-Train said he's been an assistant with Miami since 2013. Won a ring with them in 2012. Yep. I saw a lot of hate. Well, not a lot of hate. I saw a lot of backlash because of the All-NBA teams because LeBron is third team. I think he had an 11-year run on the first team All NBA, but this year he's a third team All NBA. And Muzz was mad. Oh, they hating on LeBron. Oh, I'm like, dude, his team didn't go to the playoffs.
Yeah,
he was hurt for a while.
He was hurt. So yeah, I mean,
he didn't have the greatest seasons. You know, it's.
Yeah, no.
So
I think he's probably like, if you're just talking about premier veteran, premier leader, yeah, they will be first team.
Yeah.
But that's not all you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about impact.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Team performance.
Team
man.
performance.
All of that. Yeah. How should the Batar campaign contact you guys to talk about an interview? Yeah, any way we're accessible. We don't. I mean, I don't know an extreme lot about his campaign, but anywhere, Twitter, Facebook, email address.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, anywhere he can. They can contact us. But all right, we're gonna get out of here. Everybody have a good weekend, good Memorial Day, and we will see you on Tuesday. All right, so everybody peace out. Let the madness begin.
Damn, son. Switch, nigga. Switch, bring it back.